compounding, right? I agree with that.
You asshole.
And I'm sorry about the laughing.
Brummy was doing that. He's on
I know that,
side,
man. I'm just.
He's on
dude,
your
why are you
side,
freaking out, dude?
Because the guy you're talking about is on your
You
side.
got it in. You got your shot in. Okay.
From here on out, no mocking. Just get straight. No mocking.
Let's not mock.
I was
It's
trying
just
to.
bullshit that you get it like attacked from the back rooms here because Spurs had me fucking muted for like 5 minutes and it don't matter though. Just keep going.
There's a deal. There's like six fighters talking over each other, and there's 5 people saying nonsensical stuff. So why don't we just try to talk one at a time?
Yeah.
I was trying to mediate, so sorry about the laughing, right? It's kind of natural. We're not trying to like make fun of you guys, dude. I mean, to be fair, in this discussion, we're the ones made fun of. That's stupid, right?
Who cares? You guys are being obstructive with it. Just talk one at a time. If you're gonna laugh, laugh through my clothes.
Scott, we got to remember tomorrow.
Guys, who wants to talk to these guys? Let's pick one Glober to do it because we need to reduce the chaos. It's just crazy. So, does anyone here want to be a point on this for a while? And then after a while, you can switch it off. But does anybody want to do it?
That's boring.
I'm not.
We're not doing anything really important in here, you know. I mean, the little chaos is a little interesting.
I know all the retarded Glober arguments, so I can.
Okay. So how do you equate an apparent location?
Hold on. What's it? Hold on. If people want the chaos, we can do the chaos. I'm just trying to bring a little bit.
Volunteered, Scott.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
How do you equate an apparent location with physical evidence of a physical location?
Like any test, you start changing the independent variable, the observer height.
Wait, but you don't know. This is a measurement. You're never changing the variable of the Earth's surface curving. That's not what happens. We're measuring it. Yeah, right. So we see the apparent location. That's all we ever see. Do you agree with that? We always only see the apparent. Dude, do you agree? We
agree. It's an apparent. Always going to be apparent. We're always going to be looking through air, so there'll always be some deviation.
Okay, so the horizon's always.
Can I finish the sentence? As you go higher, that deviation becomes less and less and less. And so if you draw that graph, you can start making correlations based on the refraction that occurs as you go higher, and then determine what that refraction is at the base layer.
Okay, so the horizon is always.
My arm is always there, Zanuck. It doesn't just fade in and out of view, apparently. The Earth is always supposed to be 6 feet or less beneath our feet if you're around 6 feet tall. So 6 feet below your feet all the time. Why does it appear to rise to eye level?
That's the point, Lemon.
It's not showing physical dimensions of actually being a ball.
Shut up!
Lemon's not the one I'm talking to.
Well, let him get it doesn't matter. They're hopelessly outnumbered. It won't hurt if another flatty gets their bit in.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would like to
if you get the main point, the Earth is not showing physical dimensions of being a ball. It appears to be showing constantly changing proportions and dimensions, which would only be commensurate with a flat plane getting new 2D representation in your eye as you get higher and widen the visual angles to it. A ball would not do that.
Yeah, there's a few things, right? The center would be taller on a ball, the center of the convergence. Yeah.
Why is the center of the convergence
and in addition, it's also often conflated that, well, if the Earth were flat, it'd go all the way up in the air. Like, it does come up, but it's still some below you. You're going up relative to how high you go up. It's still technically some below you.
What are you talking about? The center?
The horizon.
What are you saying?
Yeah, this makes no sense at all.
Well, if you think logically, you would think, that it's a little different at the very center.
Your diffractive level will be the center of view.
Do you think the apex?
Either way, so all we have is what we appear to see, right? Like, that's redundant, but just the apparent location. And it's always a horizontal left or right, and it fluctuates constantly back and forth based on the conditions, but it's just never actually there. It's just an apparent location that constantly moves. It's not like when it moves, then you see some physical stuff or nothing like that. It just constantly moves. That's all we ever see it do. It's an apparent location. You have to assume that there is, in fact, an additional physical location that we just never see. Take the apparent locations that we do always see, average them out, and say, okay, that's where the physical one actually is.
That's not really how you do it either. You don't average them out. We know a little bit about refraction, and we can detect when we're in an environment where refraction is a viable factor. And so we try to remove that factor best we can. The best way to do it is do it not over water, do it over land, and start looking at known mountain peaks to another mountain peak, which is miles and miles away, 100 miles away or something. And then you can see the drop that shouldn't be there. Now, is that refraction?
Yeah.
We've never seen
No,
refraction.
you have to account for topography and elevation, dude. But water's
That
always
is
flat,
absolutely-
so
that's
it's a
already-
good test.
That is already taking that into account.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yes, because we're looking level from a mountaintop that we know is, say, 8,000 feet, and we're looking at a mountain that is 10,000 feet, 100 miles away, and it is at eye level.
Is the mountain directly vertical?
It doesn't have to be. Just the peak has to
It
be.
doesn't
All we're
have to
looking for is a position
Center.
above sea level.
It needs to be vertical.
No, it doesn't. All we're looking for is a position over and above sea level.
So
That's
its
it.
angle doesn't matter.
No, the point don't matter. Doesn't matter.
Zach,
Dude,
you're asking the wrong question. Why does it have to be vertical?
well, yeah,
Why?
because I mean, I'm just saying. I'm
looking
assuming
for a
if it's
point.
not vertical, you have to account for the angle
How
it's
can a
at. If you're
point
going
be
to
vertical?
deduce an angle relative to the other angle.
How can a point be vertical?
Zanuck, that's done by calculation. Nobody took a measuring stick perfectly vertical from the center of the mountain straight up to the tip of the
We're
mountain.
not looking at the center of Mount Lemon. We're looking at the top of the mountain. We're looking at like an
based off of
observatory.
sea level.
Say you see,
So that's going to be highly unsatisfactory.
say you
Are-
see an observatory 100 miles away with your telescope at the top of this mountain. Regardless of what the slope of the mountain looks like, you see the actual observatory, and you know the observatory is at 10,000 feet. Now, if you're at 8,000 feet or 6,000 feet, 100 miles away, you can actually determine where that is, where it should be if the Earth was flat. And
But
if it's below it or equal to it, you know either the mountain has sunk or the surface is curved. Or
If
is-
the peak of the mountain were tilting towards what you're observing, would it change what you observe?
No, not at all.
Okay, dude. Yes, it would. Your angle's
wouldn't.
going to change.
No, it doesn't
Zanuck.
matter where we're looking at a point. Again, points are not vertical. Points are just points.
Yeah,
The
like
2
if you're
points
looking at the
are
tip of a pencil, the eraser of a pencil, if it's straight up or you tilt it towards you, it will change the ultimate elevation of the pencil. And we're just looking at the eraser, right?
Yeah, we don't know what the pencil, what the shape of the pencil is. or
If
what
it's
direction.
tilted, the mountain would have to be longer in order to get to that elevation.
Sextants
But the
wouldn't work
thing is-
properly.
But you're
Yeah, no,
saying
It just is its
Exactly.
elevation.
saying that
No, if you look at a
saying
point, it doesn't matter what it's attached to. All we're looking at is that point.
Yeah, I
What,
think
what's the round- if I have a pyramid, hold on. If I have a pyramid or a light pole, does it matter? Does it matter if I have a pyramid or a light pole or a slanted triangle or make any shape you want? Does it matter if I'm looking at a
But-
point in a position in my field of view?
you're
It's a
looking
question,
through
by the
different air layers.
Lemon,
You're
it's a
looking through
question.
You're looking through different ether bands, which is going to make your refraction go
Oh,
crazy.
God.
That's why if you
No,
really
no.
cared about refraction, you
Don't
would do
do
it
this on
over
this.
water
It's
where
enough
you have
noise
the
as it
least
is.
Yeah,
heating
so
layers
basically,
to deal with.
you're just hand wave dismissing and then ushering in a red herring fallacy, basically,
not.
right? I mean, yes.
I think you
No, I'm not.
misunderstand
You said-
what's being
You
said.
said we should. No, I know what's being
I'm not
said.
talking to you.
said
Wait,
that
I said
he
Zanuck is misunderstanding. But everybody in
Okay,
here
my
is trying to
bad.
correct
My
him on.
bad. My bad, dude.
Okay, well
Okay.
then stop talking, dude. For fuck's sake.
No.
Yeah,
I just sat here and
That's
listened to
true.
Zanuck preach
staying with
about
it.
what's happening. Okay, my bad. So we were talking about observing what should be there, a physical structure, the curve of Earth. He then moved over and said, well, instead of doing it to water, what we need to do is land. And well, I vehemently disagree with you, man, because that now has to account for topography and elevation. And
Do you believe
everything
that you can?
changes.
Do you believe you can adjust or actually do that and then change the variables? Change the equation to get the right answer?
How are you going to know the elevation? What do you have to compare it
pressure.
to?
Air pressure.
Yeah.
Level.
Okay,
Sea
so you
level.
have
Wait, do you not
Sea
think
level,
you know the
exactly.
height of mountains and stuff?
Well,
Do you not from sea
are we
level
even
to the
talking
top?
That
why
was
are
my
we
next
talking about
question.
mountains? You could do this with airplanes. Why talk about mountains? Let's talk about airplanes instead.
airplanes that assume a flat, non-rotating surface.
Sure.
You mean air spheres?
How about 2 airplanes that are at 30,000 feet and they're 100 miles apart? You can see this in an airplane, by the way.
You can see what?
The airplane.
You can see the airplane.
Yes.
the airplane is
30,000
below
feet,
you.
100 miles away. Yes. With
What does
good
that mean?
binoculars. So if you're both at 30,000 feet above sea level, would you agree that both planes are at 30,000 feet above sea level with the instruments we have?
Sure.
I know you have to laugh again, but go ahead.
What kind of question is that, Zanuck? Of course.
Okay. So now, if you look, if you're both at 30,000 feet and you look out the window and you have a telescope or a really high-powered set of binoculars and you see that airplane and it's below level, wouldn't that make you curious to how that's possible if both are at the same altitude?
Curving lens or a refracting air medium leads to weird effects, or you tipping up the plane off of level.
If you want to have a discussion,
Okay, how far away did you say they are?
100 miles.
Okay, so 100 miles, they're maintaining their relative pressure zone wherever they are, and they don't appear to be the same in the sky, and I'm supposed to be surprised by that?
Yeah, wait.
So are you saying if you compare the very path, if they take the exact same path, is that what you're saying?
So angularly, it is discernibly much lower than level in your field of view.
Do you take the same exact paths? Are you observing them at the same location? Or different locations, different paths?
Let me enlighten you a little bit. So there are times when both airplanes will be at the same altitude, especially when they're following each other. And they'd be going the same airspeed. And they'll know exactly what the positions are because that's being broadcast all the time. And you'll see the ones in front of you much lower angularly than you are at the same altitude. Now, coming toward you, usually they're dispersed by 1,500 feet or something. But generally, you can follow somebody at your same altitude, and they will be discernibly below you.
Okay, so did that plane in the front go down also?
The plane in the front is lower than you, yes.
But did it go down to get lower?
No, it's still at 30,000 feet.
But if it's lower than you, did it have to go down so it relatively went down beneath you? That's what you're saying. So you're laughing. What you're saying, you're saying the Earth is just taking it? Okay.
Relative to what? It stayed in the atmosphere.
Earth, I guess. That's what you're claiming.
Well, yes, it's still at 30,000 feet. The atmosphere is curved, and that's how it is lower than you with respect to another frame, a point of reference.
Okay.
But no, it's at the same altitude.
So when the second plane gets to where the first plane is at that same altitude, will it be higher or lower?
Higher or lower than what?
The first plane.
It'll be the same spot where the first plane was.
Okay, so they maintain a relative pressure zone, and when they're in the same location, they're at the same location.
Right.
Okay.
I just want to point out one thing. I mean, rocket scientist, he works with a lot of satellites and he's got a lot of data on his screen. But, he knows the globe, but he still went out and done an experiment with Polaris. So it's a bit weird, isn't it, that somebody that looks at satellite data doesn't really need to go and prove the Earth to be round for himself. So, must have had some sort of doubts.
Okay.
Could you not interrupt if you're going to just say nonsense?
On point, what Zanuck is describing to Witsit, and Witsit is refusing to understand.
Cool fucking story, dude.
Dude,
why don't you shut your cunt fucking mouth while I'm talking, bitch?
Oh. Tough guy.
Yeah, tough. Shut your mouth, you little bitch.
Yeah, you couldn't dream.
Witsit, let him get it out, please. Go ahead.
Let him be a child. Okay.
Stop doing it. Now, Zanuck is pointing out to you the difference between level and horizontal. And you're dancing around like a little girl with your stupid excuses and your attempts at obfuscation. You are wrong. You're shown to be wrong. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, well, you're wrong. You have no idea what you're talking about, and you offered no substantive specificity at all. Try to be an adult next time.
No, he was
so, anyway. No, because this comes full circle. In fact, to offer a rebuttal to Zanuck, to offer a rebuttal to Zanuck, I actually have to reiterate myself because what exactly is it that you're? What's your standard of level, Zanuck? What are you using for your standard of level?
The standard.
Perfect.
No, what standard? I'm not talking to you, Zanuck. What's up?
I want to talk to you next, though.
Perpendicular to the.
Said I want to talk to you next.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Perpendicular to plumb.
Okay. Within the aircraft, correct?
Within the aircraft, correct.
And then it's relative to what?
I just told you, plumb.
Well, do you account for the horizon?
What for? No, absolutely not.
So your level has nothing to do with the horizon.
Correct.
It's a relative plumb of the plane level.
It's just the plane. It's just the center of mass of the plane.
Right, exactly. So the plane's just level.
Plane is level because it's not gaining altitude, so it has to be level.
Okay. And when planes
flying level. not oriented level, because it could be pitched up or pitched down.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we view with this like artificial horizon or whatever, that has nothing to do with actually being level.
Not an artificial horizon. We're talking about a HUD display, which shows the level line, which not to be confused with the artificial horizon.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The artificial horizon is basically useless.
No, it's also shows that you're flying level. But it doesn't match up to the horizon.
Yeah,
it's an artificial horizon. It just shows that you're flying level.
But it's not relative to the horizon.
No.
What's it looking at then?
It's not looking at anything. It's a gyroscope.
You show me you always show me these pictures of the art.
You gotta listen. You gotta try to ask the right question. You're not asking the right questions.
You always show me these pictures of this artificial horizon. There you go, dude. There you go.
You always asking the right questions right now.
So you always show me a picture of artificial horizon, Zanuck. And so anyway, if they're maintaining pressure zone, and then when they're in the same location, they're at the same altitude, same location. One's not above or below the other one. When they're at the same pressure zone of the sky, traveling through the same part of the sky with the same pressure zone that they're maintaining, of course they're at the same location. And of course that location isn't the same. Based on different locations.
100 miles different than the other.
Exactly. Okay, but whenever that one makes up the 100 miles of the first one, it will be where the first one was.
Yes, it will be. You're right.
Okay, so it's just maintaining pressure zone relative to the sky it's traveling through.
So you would agree that above sea level, they're both in the same altitude. They're both the same distance above the water beneath it.
Planes go up and down to maintain their pressure.
They're within a very fraction of a percent, because the indicators of altitude are pretty accurate. Not perfect, but they're pretty accurate. So the altitude of me at 30,000 feet on the money, and the other plane at 30,000 feet that I'm radio tuning. Yep, I'm at 30,000 feet. I'm traveling at a indicated airspeed of 240 knots. We both are in communication. I can see you. I see the blinking light on your plane. And by the way, you're 3 degrees below me.
Okay. Do planes go up and down to maintain pressure zone?
Do they go up and down relative to what?
Do they have to go up and down to find the pressure zone that they're flying in?
They fly in a pressure zone. There is
and to maintain that pressure zone, does the plane have to go up and down, or just down?
Up and down relative to what?
Whatever the altitude you need to get to maintain the pressure zone.
You might be moving up and down with respect to the ground and not change pressure zones. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so you don't have to make any. You don't have to account for the pressure.
If you go into a lower pressure zone in the atmosphere, you would then drop. Correct?
Well, yeah, but what I'm asking you?
You have a downdraft. You will drop.
Do you have to account for the drop or rise? Right? Or when you're flying, do you have to maintain your pressure zone by going up and down to find where the pressure zone is as you travel?
How else would you do it?
Yeah, that's what the
Okay, exactly. So, and you go up and down, but it seems like with Zanuck's little theoretical demonstration he's got for us, he's just talking about being down. He's just saying it's below you, but it isn't like that.
No, he's putting words in your mouth. No, that's the wrong answer.
Zanuck, there was a pilot in here named Rich who described, because I don't think you're addressing what he's talking about at all. But Zanuck, there was a pilot in here named Rich who talked exactly about the example that you just gave, which is that on his he's got the data on the other plane that's in his view, and it's actually said to be above him, but as he's viewing that plane, it appears to be below him.
Right.
And then this is the phenomenon he's talking about. He's not talking about a plane moving up and down and changing that position. He's talking about in one specific moment in time, the plane is said to be above him. All the data says that it's above him, but as he views it, it appears to be below him.
Okay, so he views it from a distance through the atmosphere.
Well, it's the same example, except he's actually higher than him, maybe by 5,000 or 6,000 feet, yet still appears to be below him.
Okay, appears by viewing him from 100 miles away.
100 miles away, and he's at 30. He's at Angel's 35,000 feet. I'm at 30,000 feet. He's 5,000 feet above me, yet I still see him below me. That's what he's saying. That's what the other pilot, Rich, had mentioned. And that also is a reality.
It's because you see them.
You can see, level because you know what level is on your plane.
So they appear to be where they shouldn't be.
Level line. You can have a level line. You can use a spirit. You can use a spirit level in the plane and sight something out in the distance. You could use a sextant. You can use all sorts of things.
Oh my.
But you can see that he's below level in the distance, and that's the point here. And now your questions are a little convoluted, saying that, am I going up and down to stay in the pressure zone? Yeah, the planes have to stay
Yeah,
has to
no,
have to
and
be
levels
adjusted.
relative to the plane, my friend.
What do you mean levels relative to the plane? What do you mean?
What do you mean? If the plane is level, then it has its reading of level. It's relative to that.
If it's flying level, it will
You're
not
saying
gain or lose altitude. That's a definition.
Is the
of
other
level.
if the other plane's quote unquote below level, if you go into that plane, is it flying level?
Wouldn't you be relative to yourself?
What altitude is it at?
Don't get tripped up.
I thought you said that it was 5,000. I thought you said it was 5,000 feet
Level
above
is at
it.
instant. At any instant, the plane will be oriented level. That's the thing we got to point out here. At any instant, you'll be. Now, sometimes it's not exactly level, and that's when it's hunting to find its altitude or to find its equilibrium. But
And it
at
goes
any
up and
point in
down to
time,
do that.
If I'm level, listen, hold on. If I'm level, if the plane is level, then it'll be flying level at any point. Now,
Okay.
that's why. Hold on. Now, that's why. Let me finish the sentence. This is key right here. Listen carefully.
Zanuck,
Now,
I
if
drew a
if I had
picture to help him. You
Can
look at the
I
picture.
just preface it by saying, please let me speak one more sentence. If I have now an instrument that identifies level, that level line will always be fixed in my windshield. It'll never move. I'll always know where it is. And my plane can go up and down and change attitude. The level line will never change. Why?
Okay.
It's always oriented with respect to plumb. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
man. We already talked
So
about
the
that.
instrument will tell you what
So-
level it is. The plane doesn't always have to fly level.
For example, you see this little picture here at 30 minutes after the hour. I mean, that is not what we see. We do not see the plane in the distance dipped
Yes,
down
that's exactly what we see.
underneath
That's
us.
exactly what
We see a plane dipped. We see it
exactly
dipped
what we see.
down.
You've never flown before
So
in
the-
a cockpit, I'm sure.
So you're saying that we see the plane itself dipped to account for the
Yes.
curvature of Earth.
Yes.
Please provide that footage for me.
Oh
man.
my God, that's what all pilots know. This. Anybody who's flown knows this.
That the
You can
plane's
see-
lower
I don't
in
know,
front
if
of
I'm flying
you,
to
but not
Tahoe
that it's
and I'm over
dipped down.
Sacramento.
So can you?
I can see the blink. Listen, stop.
Yeah. Can you provide the evidence, please? Just provide the video, dude.
I can see the lights of a plane 100 miles away. Not a
Yep,
problem.
and it
That's
looks
what
like it's
they're
lower
designed
than
for.
you.
On a
You
clear
can't
day,
tell it.
and it is discernibly below level, below
Is
eye level.
it itself dipped down in its trajectory, or is it flying level below you?
Can you restate that clearly?
Is it flying low level below you, or is it dipped at an angle? You
is-
perceive its
okay.
angular path?
It is level, and I am level. They're both flying level, and they can be the same.
Okay, so they're not. It's not dipping down.
What do you mean dipping down?
It
Following
like
the curve,
the
you mean?
plane itself
Say
isn't
what you mean.
angled.
Say what you mean.
Does it look dip down to you, Zanuck? Does it look dip down to you from your perspective?
The angular dip. Yeah, you can't see. It's about 1 degree every 60 miles, so it'd have to be a 2 degree dip. You wouldn't be able to discern a plane dipping 2 degrees. 2 degrees.
Oh, okay.
Just
Cool.
like you can't see a car. Just like you can't see a car in front of you if it has a 1 degree camber or 2 degree camber from behind a mile away.
Okay.
Can I ask you a
I just
question?
wanted you to answer. What's up?
If you guys are on the same, if it's the two planes are on the same level, how do you account for the plane in front being lower
That's the point.
on the horizon? I mean, how does flat Earth account for that?
Instrument tweaking.
Let me guess.
Failure. Instrument drift.
Ether.
Barrel distortion.
Barrel distortion.
Expect that the
love barrel
instrument
distortion.
produces a perfect vision of level
density.
may not.
Yeah.
So how much below is it? You're saying it's
Not 2
the
degrees.
plane. Time out. You're saying the plane in front is the exact distance of Earth curvature,
Is the exact difference of look curvature.
but you're just saying
Height, yes.
Well,
Like they are
yeah.
at the same level.
They're at the same
right,
level above the Earth, and one is about 2 degrees below
Altitude.
you.
Yeah.
Same altitude above the
Okay.
surface.
Well, that means there would be an actual distance also, right? That was dropped off.
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying
Relative to
that
the first
distance of what you view is exactly what the Earth curvature should be for that distance?
Yeah.
Basically, they're the same altitude.
That's why I'm bringing it up, because that tells you that the Earth is curved, unless we have some crazy atmosphere, which is swirling and rising and falling by thousands and thousands of feet, which it's not. Otherwise, it's crashing in the mountains.
I know some pilots. I'll ask them if it
You
always
can't.
looks the
I
same. Is the
actually
plane
talking to one
always
right
look
now.
like
What's
it's?
the problem?
I don't worry. I'll talk
But I
to
think
some
you
ones
were
I know that are honest. So
Can
whatever.
you like give us the questions you're going to ask them so we can see if they're the right questions? I have a feeling they might. I'm not talking shit. They might be the wrong questions.
Well, no, yeah, it's like if you're flying 100 miles behind another plane, would you always see it below you?
Okay, yeah, that.
And does how you see it ever change, etc.?
Yeah, has it
Below
like
your
one view?
Below your horizontal.
They have to be the
Yes,
same.
yes.
But it's not always like it changes. It fluctuates where it's at in the sky.
Yeah, it might
It's
be
always going to be below. I would assume it'd be below if that's the same level. Yeah, of course it would.
Always
The same altitude, it's always going to be below.
significantly below you.
Point that you successfully convoluted here, and Zanuck let you get away with it.
Yep.
Significantly below you.
How about convoluted? No, I just know I'll get straight answers
No,
without a bias.
What did I do?
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, dude, my friend.
What did I miss?
I feel more comfortable asking them because this has happened a few times to me. People have claimed to be pilots, and I go talk to some pilots, some of which aren't even flat earthers. I ask them these questions, and I get different stories when I really get down. I get to ask them back and forth. So unfortunately, it's like some pilots think some of the people that like always argue globe Earth that say they're pilots. I'm not saying they are or are not pilots, but they they're not as real about the conversation. You know, like when I talk to these people, they're just really honest about the question itself, and it's way more productive that way. They're not trying to explain it with like a globe Earth in mind.
Scientist is apparently does shit with satellites and that, but he still went out himself to confirm the globe to himself by going looking at Polaris. So obviously, even somebody that's controlled satellites and looked at data on the screen, like he knows that the Earth's a globe, but still had to go out there and actually identify it for himself, because even himself, that's subconsciously.
This is the second time you've said this, Robbie. This is
why are you saying this? Irrelevant the first time.
So go ask the pilot if two planes flying through
it's relevant. It's relevant because you're talking about experts that obviously know different about the world. Do you want about experts that know any, like pilots and stuff like that? People that obviously deal with stuff that would be conclusive evidence towards the globe, and yet these people are, they're in denial.
They're not in denial. That's not what he did. You're mischaracterizing it. What he did is he went and did an experiment, like you would show a kid how to do an experiment, even though you know how to do it. What it's going to say.
Yeah, we're just kids. We're intellectual minors. You people tower us.
All you got to do is go talk to the pilot.
You tower us.
All you got to do is ask the pilot if he's flying a plane at the same altitude, if it's lower than him. Lower than level.
Okay. Before I leave,
we'll say yes.
Before I leave, would anyone like to answer that other question? I'll go talk to my pilot friends. But
Kurt, how did I?
Yes, me. Can you hear me? Did you unmute me? Did Chemo unmute me? Yeah.
Something a long time.
What was your other question?
Can we ever take an apparent location and then equate that to being proof of a physical, actual location?
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, this is bullshit, man. Chemo's had me muted for, he keeps muting me. I didn't do anything last time. It's my turn to talk to him. Man, Chemo, don't mute me anymore.
Hey, Chemo, stop doing that.
For real, I didn't do anything last, and I even was polite.
Well, you did interrupt quite a few times, actually, Ted.
Well, I'm excited to have people hear me.
Maybe one-on-one.
Y'all think on it, man.
I did put it in writing. I'd like to talk to him. But.
To be fair, we should give Tony.
You said that a bunch. Tony did say over and over and over he wanted to talk to him. And could you fix the popping, Tony? In fact, when you said, Jim, when you said, does anyone want to take over Zanuck? Tony said, I do. And I don't know. I think.
Right. Okay. Well, go ahead.
Wait, is there popping though?
Yeah. Can you go back to your other mic or something? Because it's everything we talk about, big popping noise.
All right, guys. Well, y'all just think on that one, I guess.
What was your other questions?
Just like, can you ever take an apparent location and then conflate that to proof of a physical, actual location?
No, you just use GPS to make sure it's close.
Okay, so you concede that there is no sufficient evidence that can be attained by looking at the apparent location.
Of course, sure. No, of course you can. See, the thing is that you want to act like it's always an apparent thing, but then as soon as you compare it to like an actual GPS profile, you'll realize that it's actually really, really close.
It fluctuates a ton.
Not enough for it to matter. If you ever actually compare it to a GPS profile, you'll see it matches really close.
Okay, yeah, that's how it all started. Al Baruni looked at the apparent location of the horizon and then measured depth graphs, right? And then he thought, okay, we kind of have an idea of what it is. Here you go. And you can say he didn't, but he did. And he took the average of an apparent location and conflated that with the presupposition of a physical, actual location. So my question remains: is that sufficient evidence? Of course not. It's very simple. It doesn't prove that the Earth is flat, but it's just real weird that we can't even get honest.
You start talking about all this nonsense instead of doing that. Just go take a GPS profile and overlay it on your photograph.
GPS uses Cartesian coordinates.
It uses Earth.
What's funny about that?
Use Earth.
It's just great.
They use Cartesian coordinates.
What's the point?
So what's that makes that bad?
Well, no, I'm just saying everything you bring up, it uses like Cartesian coordinates from a central point on a flat projection.
So what's it? Cartesian coordinates happen on a flat plane?
Are you saying that they don't?
No, I'm literally asking. I'm a flat earther. I didn't know.
Cartesian coordinates is a way of.
They're not two-dimensional.
They're mapping it out to a central point on a flat projection.
What's it? GPS are X, Y, Z coordinates.
They're actually
in their raw format.
They're actually called Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinates, and it's
exactly what Simon was saying.
Oh.
Are you telling me every time these fuckers bring up GPS shit, it's happening on a flat plane?
No,
they map it out on Cartesian coordinates. They map it out on Cartesian coordinates.
Tell me what the difference would be between.
It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove anything. To be fair, that's just a 2D projection, right? Inherently, you're going to be limited.
It's a 3D projection. I just told you it's 3 dimensions. It's out.
Okay, it's a cartoon like what? Google Earth.
How's it cartoon?
Wait, no. Be very specific with your
exactly
claim.
what you complained about. You're doing exactly what you complained about.
No, dude. The fact about GPS is that they use Cartesian coordinates. No, you people just are afraid of hearing anything. If you think satellites prove the Earth's a ball, then you haven't looked into it honestly yet.
No one said that. You said it was 2D.
If you think satellites prove the Earth's a ball,
no one said that.
No one brought up
if you think.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you are talking about satellites. I'm saying.
I was talking about GPS.
Okay, how do you have GPS?
I don't know. You tell me. Does it work or not?
You claim that it's because of satellites, and I understand that there are high altitude satellites.
It doesn't matter how
it does matter, so you don't even understand it.
You think refraction proves the flat Earth?
Oh wow, you burned me, dude.
Well, satellites, what? It's the same friggin' thing. You're the both arguments.
They're the same thing.
Whatever.
What is this dude? What is this dude?
What's this dude? How about you talk to this dude? Let's talk. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, why are you conflating
your word of presupposition?
No, let's talk about what we're talking about.
Well, we're talking
wait, let me ask this one question.
GPS work or not? Yes or no?
Yes. Wait, does GPS work? Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, if it works, the implementation doesn't matter. All we have to have is a working GPS system.
No, that's not. No, if you model something,
profile it. You profile the Earth's surface, and you'll see that it's curved.
No, my friend, they modeled something. That's not true. That's patently false. They modeled something in portions that was a flat projection and then wrapped it around a ball in a 3D animation. That's what it is. GPS does not, it's in portions. It does not require accounting for the curvature of the Earth or anything like that. So that's just not true. So it's ridiculous that people say it. And 99% of transmission is not done with supposed satellites anyway, and that's openly the admitted number.
That's bullshit.
That's bullshit, even though that's the factual number.
Let Stanley respond now, please. Please let him respond. Tony, we'll get you in after.
He's not even
addressing. Yeah, get me in later, right?
You're dodging everything I say.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Answer this direct question.
I already did.
GPS waypoint. What do you actually get? What does the raw data look like?
You're going to have coordinates.
You have a 3D coordinate, right?
Okay.
Okay. So you just take a whole bunch of those 3D coordinates and then render them out into a 3D space. That's all you have to do.
On a proposed yeah.
Yeah, they're actually not. Okay, here's the deal, dude. They're mapped out in portions that are flat and put together.
Dude.
So if you're going to deny that, you're just lying.
The 3D coordinates have specific locations in a 3D space.
Relative to the presupposed model you're reifying. That's a cool story.
There's no reifit.
Do you have any evidence of
just
that?
A 3D.
Any evidence? No, that's what you have to do for it not to be a reification.
Do you have any evidence that it is a reified presupposition?
Do you have any evidence that it's not?
Yeah.
Why is reified bad? Tell me. We're not real, my friend. Real life, not a debate.
That's what I'm talking about. It's not real, my friend. That's what it means. It means it's not in real life.
Reification means not real.
You agree
yes.
Go ahead, Tony.
Reification means taking an idea and making it real. This perfectly straight line that has no relation to anything in reality. You're making the idea real and getting away from reality.
Yeah, exactly.
What happens if the idea is real and it's truthful and 100% accurate?
What happens if it's wrong?
That means that you misquoted the fucking reification.
Guys, please let him speak.
We just heard him.
Brummy, you're going to get muted again if you don't let this carry on. You haven't got anything worth hearing to say anyway. So just shut up.
I'm adding to the conversation.
You said 100% proven.
Oh, have you
what are you?
It works both ways.
I didn't say
you said 100%. Yeah, you're right. You said. I know. I stand corrected. You said 100% right. That's what you
said.
Accurate. Okay, but it actually isn't 100%. Can you provide the what specific model? What specific model exactly are you claiming is perfect? Can you provide?
I'm not even talking about a model. I'm talking about reality.
No, the globe Earth is a model of reality.
That's right. I thought you guys said models aren't. You can't use models, so I'm not using a model. I'm using what we see when we walk out the door.
So then you're disavowing the model that is the globe Earth.
No, I'm disavowing your statement that the model doesn't work.
Okay, so you're thus claiming the model.
That means I win.
Real world.
What?
I'm on the real world.
I'm just talking shit.
On the real world.
Okay, so if you just take the model and assume it and then reify it, that isn't reality itself. It's a proposed explanation of observable phenomena.
The model's not
to pretend that you slam dunk, to pretend it's a slam dunk to bring up GPS. To pretend it's a slam dunk to bring up GPS is just intellectually dishonest. Okay.
Let him get it out.
Using the thesaurus the way you do.
All it is
okay, you don't like the way I use words. Next.
I'm using a ruler, and I can't use a ruler to make measurements. Is what you're saying right now.
No, but it's like y'all say measurements are now real and can have physical properties and crazy shit. Y'all say crazy things. You misrepresent our actual point.
A measurement is a physical property, right?
No, a measurement's a concept to describe what you do to a physical.
Would you say this? The dimension, a dimension of something, is one of its physical.
It's a concept of type of measurement of something physical.
Is the dimensions of something?
How's that funny?
Because it's ridiculous. The length of something is a physical property of it.
Dude, no, it's not, dude. Come on, dude. Length's a concept, bro.
That's ridiculous.
Measurements were not made with a physical ruler. They were made based off of the travel rate of light, which was based off of the rate that it travels, not the length of a ruler. And so we have equivocation here. You have two different types of measurements of two totally different natures with a bunch of different things that come with each type of measurement that you're not acknowledging, namely whether or not the light is traveling faster or slower through a different medium, throwing off your measurement
distance. It's all that matters.
Wait, what time are you saying they're the same thing?
Reification only applies to abstract concepts. So when you reify something, what you're really doing, you have to take something abstract, and the abstract means like justice or freedom or love. These are abstract concepts. So
What's
not an abstract concept? What's not an abstract concept is the globe.
Heliocentrism is an abstract concept.
The globe is a physical reality of something. So we can talk about that in a model, but that's not an abstract concept. We're talking about something physical when we talk about that. We use that.
Models are reifications.
This represents something that is physical. A model is not a reification because a model is talking about something physical. Abstractions that are physical, those are reifications.
It can be reification if it doesn't relate to reality. Just because I see the train tracks ramp up toward my eye level does not mean that I'm going to reify the idea that the train tracks are actually physically ramping up and rising in elevation toward my eye level.
Refers to.
Correct. In actuality, it's always beneath my feet, and I cannot reify the idea that there's a low pump in the way rising toward my eye level. That's incorrect.
That's not reification. That's not the raw power use of it at all. You're not even in the right.
Okay,
ballpark.
but if you model something out just having to assume that's what it is and inherently to model it, then that's technically a reification of the idea you're modeling
not if the
out.
model is something physical.
And additional to that, you have to have physical empirical evidence that can be validated through experimentation, and then you can model out all you want to. It's not like models are bad, but they are not proof of anything.
Good thing that.
So reification would be something like if you take justice is blind and you start to try to turn that into a physical concept. Like, well, justice can never get the right answer because it can't see anything, because as we all know, justice is blind. That's true reification. You've taken a truly abstract concept and tried to concretize it. When you take a model,
you mean like saying space and
that's not an example of reification. That's
you mean like space and you mean like saying space and time have physical properties of bending, warping, and dilating?
No, that's not an abstract concept. No.
Wait, space and time aren't concepts.
Space time refers to a physical thing.
No, it presupposes physicality. There's a concept of it.
They're not abstract. They're not like.
It is literally a concept.
It's not.
It's theoretical. It's called the theory. Dude,
that's not what theory means. It refers
no. Here's the deal. It's not a scientific theory, right? And it's a theory based on how concepts affect the physical world.
How is it not?
And that's an issue. That's an issue because conceptual abstractions cannot have. They can't have physical properties, dude.
But how is it not a scientific theory? You said it was not a scientific theory.
Yeah, it hasn't been scientifically validated through experimentation. No one has manipulated space-time.
That's not true. Relativity.
Yes, it is. Atomic clocks don't either. No, let's just.
Why are you interrupting me? Why are you interrupting so much? What are you?
I'm not sitting here for 5 hours listening to the stuff I've heard you say for 5 years.
Every time that you get scared that I'm saying something valid. Why is it?
You think I'm scared?
You've only been here 5 minutes. You haven't been here 5 years.
I've been here for a long time, actually.
Well, you're gonna have to learn to listen to what we're saying, because otherwise you just seem like you're not being.
I don't want to sit here. What I'm saying is, I don't want to sit here for 5 minutes. You telling me about atomic clocks?
I never heard of. I never even brought up atomic clocks.
I was just giving an example. I'm just giving an example.
Well, don't give an example. If you don't want to hear it for 5 minutes, how about just let me finish my sentence? It's not that hard, dude. I let you finish your sentences.
Kind of.
So all I was saying was that relativity has been validated 1,000 different ways. It's been one of the most validated theories in all of science. There's so many different experiments.
Okay, I'm gonna go now. So y'all have fun with the bullshit.
Hang on. Wait, sit one more
baseless ass assertions, and if you can stake your fucking name on those type of assertions, this conversation is beyond pointless, because there are not thousands of proofs. It's being reluctantly let go of right now in your own paradigm.
I didn't say proofs. I said experiments.
My friend, catch up. It's being reluctantly dismissed in your own paradigm.
I'm caught up.
You talk about interrupting, and I say about 8 words in a row, and you know where it's going.
Well,
so
you said you were going. You said you were going.
Yeah, I was saying that as I leave.
And I wanted to get a word in. Your guy that shot himself twice in the back of the head actually shot himself once in the mouth and was at the time.
There's numerous people.
And was,
that's why you didn't name him by.
And at the time was being treated for depression.
There are numerous people. That is not what I'm talking about. And there's also another one where the guy got shot twice in the chest and once in the head.
So
whatever. Maybe y'all should research it. Seems like y'all don't know anything about it.
Conflating Vince Foster and Seth Rich.
Okay, so when I bring the evidence of all the people that were supposed to testify, it's dozens and dozens. No, stop. I never claimed to know the name. But what I'm saying is, I'll find it and bring it back.
We don't know anything about it.
Keep fucking. Yeah, there you go. Scream.
Why are you never telling us that we don't know anything about it?
Well, scream a little bit more. That'll make you a man, dude.
And you don't even know the guy's name.
Okay, so I never. Yeah, I never claimed to know the name.
You go. No. It wasn't that guy. It was another guy.
Yes, douchebag. Come on, and there are numerous people. Here's the problem. Right. That's why you have to cut me off, like a little bitch that you are. You're a little bitch. You're a little bitch. Y'all are some bitches. Then stop fucking talking for me. You wouldn't have to straw man and lie about. You wouldn't have to straw man and lie about shit if I'm such an idiot. Then let me say yes. Well, are you gonna let me say something, or are you just gonna keep being a bitch?
Kick him out and mute the fuck out of him.
Oh yeah, okay. All right, cool.
So wrong about that one. Sorry.
No, I'm trying to explain. There are actually numerous fucking people that died, dude. And if you went and researched and found one person, then it's probably a different one. Okay, there was another one where a dude was shot in the chest twice, once in the head. You just now brought one back where a dude got shot in the mouth.
Name numerous.
Well, how many total?
You named what?
That's what
You said one
okay,
person.
and you only found
one person did it. You didn't say
that doesn't make me wrong when there's a lot of them.
Okay,
I just pointed out one of them.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Okay, it looks like y'all need to.
Listen for a moment. Listen for a moment. All you've got to do, you don't have to do it now, is supply us with the name of the person that shot themselves twice in the back of the head. Thank you very much. That's all you need to do. I bet you don't.
Yeah, 2 shots in the back of the head, classified as a suicide. When I do, this room still will call me names and not concede like adults.
Well, just provide a name of this person. That's you haven't even got to provide any evidence. Nothing.
He's gone.
Yeah. Because he knows he was talking bollocks.
Oh my God! I mean, how do you put up with someone like that?
You guys know that these right-wing websites, have this whole list of people who died who had some kind of 6 degree of separation to Hillary Clinton, right? It's
but then when you look into each one, it's always ridiculous.
Of course,
like I did about
the brother married the cousin. The cousin.
I got to about 14 of them, and after about 14, where every single one of them was like not valid, I was like, okay, I'm not doing all 83.
Right.
They're all gonna be like this.
It's like
Why is Tony muted again?
Separation to Putin for everybody.
Kimo, did you mute Tony again? What is the problem, Kimo? No, he's not muted. He's fine.
This is day after day after day. It's unbelievable.
I think he likes you.
You got absolutely ruined. You did absolutely ruined.
Can we now mute Brummy, please?
You need to mute me, because you just can't take a fair fight.
Oh, Brummy.
Five versus one.
Relax, Brummy. Relax.
Which was the point where you felt we were most ruined?
Every single turn, he took the whole
one.
It took a whole room just to try and even keep up with him. It was ridiculous.
Pick one, Brahma. Pick one.
I'll talk the way I'm going to talk because you keep me muted.
Do you have a point?
You couldn't take having a fair fight. So what you trying to do? We have an open forum. But what we do when we don't like what we're hearing, we mute people that try to back up the other person's point. That's what you do. You went looking for a fair
just said
fight.
fallacy over and over and over again.
Did you get muted too much? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? You got muted too much?
You don't like a fair fight. You don't like a fair fight.
Brummy, instead of crying, why don't you cite an example where somebody got ruined?
Single time, all of this.
No, Brummy.
I don't think he knows. I don't think
every single point.
I don't think he knows.
And even have you got any evidence for that? Have you got any evidence to suggest that he presupposed the art when he put the satellite coordinates in? But then when asked the question back, can you prove that he didn't? Can you prove that he didn't?
Why are you yelling?
Why are you yelling? They all went quiet.
What are you
all of a sudden, someone we did. Talk to him. You don't like what you're hearing. You don't like what you're hearing. Keep talking over me.
Jam.
Everyone, more people jumping.
Why do you gotta be so obnoxious?
Jam, did you get my DM?
More people jumping.
He made a specific.
Can we just talk?
Brummy, take a breath, okay? You're going crazy.
He made a specific claim, and I asked him to back it up. No reason why I shouldn't. Of course, he never ever backs anything up. He was in here yesterday claiming that all current radius measurements are based on Al-Biruni, all of them. So I asked him for evidence of that, and of course, I've not got it. And I won't get evidence of this man who shot himself twice in the back of the head either.
How did he shoot himself twice?
He talks bollocks, never backs up anything he says, and always avoids or tries to avoid the burden of proof, but constantly slips up.
Okay, so I'm going to talk now, and people are going to interrupt it now. So basically, what I'm going to say to you is that you all come out with like straw manning him, misrepresenting him, intentionally misunderstanding him, and all you try to do is poke holes in what he's saying rather than trying to understand what he's saying. That's all I heard you like do. Is all you guys ever do, and you don't want a fair forum. You don't want a fair discussion. You want to mute people that when they're trying to back up somebody else, and you all fight when it's 5 versus 1, and everyone else is interrupting that person. None of you's mute any of the Globers that are doing it in here. So don't come to me with this. You're acting like you're all fair and all that, because it's clearly far from it.
Well, Tony hasn't stopped moaning that he was muted throughout, so he's a Glober. And you were hang on. You were muted twice, interjecting to say something that was totally irrelevant to the discussion, had something to rocket scientist, a conversation you were having in the chat. You interrupted to say that once, so I muted you, and then I unmuted you, and you interrupted to say exactly the same thing again. So you got muted again. So I've got justification for muting you. You were spoiling the conversation, the one that you said we can't hold.
I replied to what you said. You jumped in the conversation about the coordinates being Have you got any proof that he's basically?
Oh, you need him?
Hold on, love you jumping on me again. This is what your room's like. Yeah, you're gonna mute him for jumping on me.
Just
no, you're
relax.
not.
Just
Anyway,
relax.
no, you're not. No, you're not. You don't need to behave yourself as like
Whining.
No, I'm exposing you because you're just full of shit.
Just whining constantly. You're not exposing anything.
You're full of shit. You're full of shit. You're full of shit.
Brahma, you're gonna get muted by this. This is why you get muted, because you start talking like this.
You're full of shit. You're full of.
Okay, I'm muted. I'm
trying to get muted now. So he can say, keep muting me.
But Brahmi, let me just say something, guys. Let me say something. Let me say, Jem, let me say something. Brahmi, it would help if you would just be reasonable, because when you, he's gone.
Stanley's trying to say something.
Yeah, well, if he's not here, it's kind of beyond the point. But I mean, the other day we were having a political discussion, right? And obviously, I disagree with a lot of people in this room. I never once got muted.
Jem, did you?
He's just making shit up. It's because he can't like have a decent conversation with people.
Jem, did you get my DM?
Oh no, sorry.
What are Cartesian coordinate systems, and are they on a flat plane? I'm only asking.
Jeremy,
don't
Cartesian
get
coordinates are three-dimensional. X, Y. Actually, X, Y, and Z. You can technically make them on higher dimension if you want.
Can you not? Well, okay. Can you
X,
have
Y, Z?
All right.
Are Cartesian coordinates?
That's what's used for GPS.
Is there any relation? Is there any?
Go ahead, Jake.
Well, I'm wondering, is there any relationship between Cartesian coordinates and the Cartesian bread that they sell in the stores?
Well, you could use Cartesian coordinates to measure the Cartesian bread. I guess that would be the relationship.
Or is Cartesian coordinates mapped out on a ball?
No.
Oh, okay. So
it is a mapping onto the sphere afterwards, but the coordinates themselves are the raw coordinates are X, Y, Z coordinates relative to the center of the Earth.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that to simplify.
You mean the center of the North Pole?
No, it's the Earth-centered.
Right.
Earth.
And they make the
Earth. It doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't even matter. They're just X, Y, and Z coordinates. It doesn't really matter where the center is.
So could they have made them
plot them into a?
Well, they're mapped out flat first. Is kind of the point, you know.
What's it? How many
any evidence of that?
They are not flat coordinates. They are three-dimensional coordinates.
So Cartesian coordinates can't be mapped out flat.
Oh, you're back?
Not three-dimensional coordinates if they're not in the same plane. No, they can't.
Can Cartesian coordinates be mapped out flat?
Yeah, set the Z value to 0. Now you have a two-dimensional coordinate system.
Sure. There's Cartesian for two-dimensional and there's Cartesian for three-dimensional. What's so hard to understand about this?
Well, yeah. The only thing you do is you just add the assumption of sphericity. That's what it is. That's the only difference, right? What's the other difference? Is there another
coordinate?
What?
Yeah.
How many signals do you need to establish a GPS coordinate?
2.
4.
Okay.
As at a minimum, you need the more the better. 4, and it comes in as X, Y, Z coordinates. Do your research before you're going to come in here and take on this topic.
You assume sphericity, dude, and then you add.
Where's the sphericity in any of that? Actually, the Earth doesn't even come into play when the signals.
No, of course not.
Are mashed up to establish the X, Y, Z coordinate. The Earth doesn't even come into.
Yeah, my only point is just that it's applied. It's applied to a spherical projection, man. It isn't complicated.
What?
Yes, it is.
What idea or thought hasn't been presupposed or assumed before it's gone to its final stage?
Okay, fair enough. If that's your argument, that's cool, dude. But at least.
But it's presupposition if you can presuppose another idea just as much. I mean, it's presupposition, fine, but if you can presuppose something else just as easily, well, then let's look at that other option.
Okay, what happens when you look at that other option and it's gassed out? There's nothing that's proving it, or at least the other one has a lot more truths than that one. Just keep that one on?
You are partially correct. There is a projection, but that projection is onto the WGS Earth sphere.
Okay, right, an assumed model, man. I don't dispute that, dude. As long as you just stake your claim with honesty that it is based, project on the assumption, that's cool, man. But it's like
not projected on a flat plane the way you stated.
Why is it an assumption, though? Why have you said?
Well, we have no physical evidence of physical Earth curve. So.
Where did he?
Hang on, you need to establish.
Where does that come from?
You need to establish that WGS84 is assumed. It's just, and that's it. It's just assumed.
So that's your claim.
That's your claim that you just made. So
yeah.
Evidence for it.
Wait, what do you mean? You're the one proposing the model. What's the evidence that it's real?
WGS84, according to you, you made a big deal about it's an assumption. I'm glad you're agreeing it's just an assumption. So where is your evidence that WGS84, its only basis is assumption?
Good point.
Well, no, there are some things they've done that require that assumption that they map it out based on what it would be if it was a ball. I don't dispute that.
Well, what things?
Whichever one of the things you want to bring up, but there's not one that's not like that.
But you're saying that WGS84.
I didn't bring up that model, dude. Are you claiming that model is perfect?
No, you didn't bring it up. It was in the conversation, and you said, as long as you're agreeing, it's just an assumption. Oh yeah, an assumed model. It's just as long as you're agreeing, it's just an assumption. So
okay, so are you saying that's it's real?
What is your evidence that it's an assumption?
Well, it's an assumption of sphericity, right, in the radius value. So when was this made?
No, my question to you is, what is your evidence?
Okay.
You're not asking me questions. You're answering my question.
You're asking me to provide evidence of your lack of evidence.
I'm asking you. Well, we agree that WGS84 exists.
It's a model, yeah, of course.
Right. So somebody conceived it somewhere. Your claim is that person's conception was the result only of assumption. So,
well, no, I never said that. You fancy it up a little bit to kind of change what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is,
the model is an assumption.
So are you going to chill? No. How about this? It makes a lot of claims. It encompasses all. Yeah, specify which one isn't assumed, which aspect of the model isn't assumed.
How does assuming things?
So you're saying you're saying all of WGS84, every aspect of it is just an assumption and has no evidential basis.
I never said it like that either. But if you'd like to present a specific,
you said it was an assumption. What did you mean by that?
You assume the model's reality.
Beating around the bush.
You assume the model's reality. So which one of the claims of the model is not assumed?
Actually, you're actually wrong on one thing. There's no radius in that model. It's actually a semi-major axis.
Oh, okay. So the size of the Earth isn't taken into account.
You don't even know what that means. That's what the hilarious thing about your.
The hilarious thing is that you're still not answering the question. So, which aspect of the model isn't assumed specifically?
You're answering
none of it because it's all measured.
None of it.
You're not shifting the burden of proof. Your claim.
This is your model claim.
Your claim is WGS84 is an assumption. So, what's your evidence for that?
No, dude, do you not know how this works? If I'm saying that you're just assuming that model,
and you need to support.
Okay, I'm saying if you're just assuming that model.
So, what is your evidence for this claim that WGS84 is just an assumption?
Yeah. So if you're oh my gosh. Okay. So if you're assuming the model is true, right?
I'm not assuming anything. I'm asking you to provide evidence.
No, listen, my friend.
That it's an assumption.
You would have to specify how you've come to the conclusion void of assumption, and then I would challenge it with specificity as to why it still requires a base presupposition. I'm not going to sit here and go through all of it unless you really want me to.
Well, go through one bit of it. The first bit of it.
Okay, so the tilt of the Earth itself, right? That requires presuppositions prior to that. So we have to go a little bit smaller than that.
What's that going to do with WGS84?
Oh, so that model doesn't claim the Earth is tilted. It just claims the shape alone.
Well, it's a geoid. Right?
Okay, so just the shape alone. It's not about the tilt or movement or anything.
Yeah, but it doesn't give a crap about the inclination of the Earth's axis.
Right.
It's about the location that you're looking for, or the location.
Calm down, man. So it's just yes, then it's just the shape.
Don't tell tell me to calm down when you're talking like this?
Okay, and then this dude's saying that even though it's mapping the size of the Earth, it doesn't matter at all what the radius is. Because why?
Did anybody hear me say that?
Oh, well, like you said, you don't have to. You don't need the
look up the start of
radius.
this, but this is back from 1950.
You said you don't need the radius.
With that, this model was first developed in 1950s, based on geodetic surveying and measurements.
Yeah.
Not a presupposition. Measurements.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Geodetic surveying actually does assume that if this was happening over spherical Earth, how would it happen? So.
How does that assumption make it wrong, or anything that's learned?
No, I'm not saying that the assumption necessarily makes it wrong. It's just that none of these people can typically even concede any of it is an assumption. So it's just like it forces me to be very reiterative because I have to keep trying to get those basic settings. So it makes me look bad.
It's an assumption, which you've just claimed it, and the thing you claimed it about wasn't even in the model that you're claiming.
No, I just said a random thing. So then I'm now talking about the radius. So do you need to have the radius?
No, it's a semi-major axis because the Earth is not a perfect sphere.
Shows me that when you go to it doesn't analyses that you have exhausted all of your knowledge on that subject.
All right, sounds like you just cheerlead from the sideline with nothing intelligent to say. So that's a cool story. So anyway, do you need another circumference? Or same ordeal? We don't need to know that.
Well, that is what it's a geoid. It's a three-dimensional, almost spherical shape.
So
by definition, it has a radius and a circumference. That's what it is.
Right. So the circumference of 24,901 at the equator is applied to this model?
I think that's what it is. I'm not sure exactly what it is at the equator, but it'll be there.
And then, of course, you'd have the radius of 3959. So, yeah, I'm challenging the radius itself. So I'm saying that's a presupposition. You wanted me to point out one of them. There you go.
But as you already know, it's the result of geodetic surveying, and therefore the radius is simply a calculation of the circumference. So
you think that geodetic surveying in the 50s proved the Earth was a ball?
I think it measured the Earth to be spherical. Yes.
It took its observations, assuming a ball.
I think geodetic surveying in the 1700s established that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how we know the Earth's a plate spheroid.
So that's your number one proof is geodetic.
Because of measurements made in the 1750s.
Is that your number one proof?
Number one proof of what?
Yeah, of the Earth being a ball. Because I'm trying to figure this out. So So basically, what happened was
because of a body of evidence.
Okay, so basically, what happened was Al-Biruni looked at
number one proofs.
Al-Biruni looked at the apparent location, reverse engineered a presupposed radius of a spherical object. It lived on for hundreds and hundreds of years. It just happened to be basically exactly right. It was just a little bit off.
No, that's not the geodetic survey result. That is.
I wasn't even done. So then we come up to the geodetic survey and calm down, man, pump brakes. So we got this value, and then we go do the surveying. We don't think about this value at all. We don't even account for it. We don't apply it to any of our measurements, nothing like that. We just go out on our own and we measure the Earth and it shows it's curved. That's not what happened.
We do. Do you have any? Because this was evidence that you were asked for the other day in Chatwitz.
Provide the geodetic survey.
When you made the claim that all our current radius claims are the result of Al-Biruni and everything's based on Al-Biruni.
Well, that's where it originated.
Do you have any evidence that the geodetic surveyors that established WGS 84 had any connection to anything that Al-Biruni said?
But did he use the radius value, though?
Well, Jim, can you ask him if he knows the difference between a spheroid?
Did he use the radius value?
I'm going to ask that real quick. So I think he's confused.
They made measurements, didn't they? Hang on. They were establishing a geoid with their measurement. So
they didn't have to account for the radius then.
Well, as a result of their measurements, they would have been able to calculate a radius.
So they didn't account for radius. It was a resultant.
There's no reason for them to start with a radius.
Right. So it was a resultant. They never accounted for the radius.
What do you mean they never accounted for it?
When they're making their measurements, did they account for the radius, or did they? It was just a result?
When they made their measurements, they measured the circumference. From those measurements of the circumference, they were able to calculate a radius. Why is this difficult for you to understand?
Okay, and it's not. I'm saying so. They did not. You're just overcomplicating it.
No, you are.
I'm trying to get to where. No, I conceded. I conceded. You just freaking out.
Just tell me where Al-Biruni fits into this.
Well, Al-Biruni is the.
Where did they use Al-Biruni?
It's the origin of the radius value.
For what?
For your little fairy tale model.
The ellipsoid or the geoid?
Well, it would be assuming basically an ellipsoid, even though technically that wouldn't be exactly right. So whatever.
Okay. Al-Biruni made a measurement of the circumference. Al-Biruni made a measurement of the circumference from which we calculated a radius, right? The geodetic surveyors that established WGS 84 made a measurement of the circumference that established a radius. There's no reason for them to connect to Al-Biruni in any way.
Wait, who did this?
You're only doing it because quantum erasers argument.
Oh, here we go.
Quantum erasers black swan argument absolutely relies on the fact that the only measurement that's ever been taken of the Earth's radius was Al-Biruni's, and then no measurement has been done in the 1,000 years.
Oh, no one said that.
All of it now is based on that. And
straw man fallacy.
Therefore, it can be rejected because Al-Biruni makes the horizon, and we know the horizon moves.
Straw man.
I know what the argument is.
Straw man.
It's not straw man.
Okay. Okay, then let me explain. Well, someone's just crying in the background.
That's exactly what this argument is all about.
Okay, this is why this is
all based on Al-Biruni, and Al-Biruni was looking at the horizon.
Okay.
And the black swan shows us that the horizon moves, therefore there's no radius.
Right. Okay. Sure, I'll accept that. I'll accept that as a layman recollection, but the real point that you're kind of misrepresenting is we're just saying that's the actual origin of it, and it was rocked with for a long time. No one claims that in modern history they haven't done other things with that in mind, saying they basically confirmed it, and they've definitely increased the efficacy of the model, right? No one disputes that. We're talking about the origin of the R value itself and how long it stood on its own and was ran with. Because technically speaking, it was just a guess. So your stance has to be, it was just a very lucky ass guess.
No, it was a measurement, and I mean, I'm not sure how long we can say it stood for, but it certainly didn't stand for until currently, which is your and Quantum Eraser's claim. That's bollocks.
It changed a little bit.
We were making accurate enough measurements of the Earth's surface in the 1750s to determine that it was an oblate spheroid. But
why were they trying to determine it was an oblate spheroid? It was already known.
It wasn't already known.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't already known. That's why they were trying to determine it.
Right. So then Al-Biruni didn't do shit.
It was a debate at the time.
So Al-Biruni didn't do shit then.
Oh my god.
What do you mean?
Technically speaking, he didn't do shit, right? It's not worth any value. I mean, it wasn't empirical. It was a speculative diagnosis of his own.
It was a couple localized measurements that actually extrapolated out to be very close to what actually is the circumference of the Earth. What's the problem?
He didn't prove shit. He just guessed. And
it's spherical based on the measurements. But how accurate was he compared to the geodetic surveying or any kind of satellite measurements of the ellipsoid? It was pretty darn close.
Okay, so whenever you take like a plumb, you're gonna do geodetic surveying. Do you have to account for like the relative center of mass at all?
What do you mean? It detects.
Well, like if it's vertical here, but then you go like 100 miles away or 20 miles away, that vertical will actually be different. It wouldn't be. They won't be parallel, of course, because they're relative to the center of mass.
Several things are different.
Exactly. Just tell him yes.
He's talking about deflection of the vertical, by the way.
Yes, they won't be the same vertical.
Some lines will be actually not parallel, but they also won't be uniform either.
How do you factor that out?
They can detect it by measuring it. All you have to do is drop a plumb line. And then
what I'm saying.
The key thing is relating that information to the other measuring sticks or instruments. That's the key.
Do you have to assume those plumbs are different relative to center of mass?
No, you do not assume anything.
How do you know they're different relative to center of mass?
You measure it.
What? I'm asking a very specific question. How do you know the differentiation? How do you know the differential between the plumb bobs?
Lasers.
So the plumb bobs show us that they're at different angles relative to the center of mass with lasers.
Yes.
Okay, so are the lasers well, if you're lining them up to
can a laser
if
not
you're lining up
can a laser not tell you the distance of something?
I thought we were talking about the angle.
We talked about the plumbs, right? The plumb bob. You can have something measured top of the plumb, bottom of the plumb to the surface and determine whether it's parallel or not. And by how much of it isn't.
Okay, so does it have to account within those parameters of a variation to center of mass?
Well, that's what it is. That's what it's detecting. That's what it's measuring.
Okay, so it's determining when it's considered level.
On geodetic surveying?
No, it's determining when it's considered level, and if that's oh my gosh.
Have you ever leafed over a manual of geodetic surveying?
Yeah, I've looked over some of the manuals. Yeah.
Okay, so do you see how they would go out to a farm and find out where the water will pool and how they do that?
What does that have to do with testing Earth curvature?
God.
What, man?
What's that?
Just get to your main point so you can follow along.
So you can have a plumb bob. I mean, it's electronic, but you can have basically a plumb bob in every area, and you can determine where that direction of plumb is at any point on your farm.
How do you know it's actually tilted relative to center of mass for like the fifth time?
It determines the center of mass.
How do you know that it's a differentiation?
That's where the bob
Okay, so how do you know that even though they both appear to be vertical, that they are in fact different angles?
Because you can measure them.
Measure them with what standard?
With a laser.
With the laser measuring what?
The top and bottom of a plumb.
Okay, then what do you compare that level to get the angle differentiation?
He's saying that you compare the top and the bottom, is what he's saying.
Top and bottom, yes.
And they're different.
And they're different, yes.
Yeah, because they're angled because the Earth's a ball.
Well, I mean,
it's just measuring this is just giving you the equipotential differences.
It's
at
the only
point in the surface.
Potential differences.
The equipotential differences, yes.
Well, you have to admit it's the only possible way that you can account for the way everything in the sky tilts.
What? The sky resets annually for all recordable history, my friend.
No. I'm saying on any specific moment, if you call someone at different latitudes, the amount of tilt that the Earth has, when you look at the angle of elevation for those objects, it corresponds to a spherical topography, right?
No, that's not true, dude. Your perception in the sky is just relative to your location. So that's all it is. I mean, you can demonstrate this too. So
really, so we're at
Zanuck, let Jake complete his point.
Well, like take for example the sun, right? Like we know that you only will, like on the equinox, you only will see the sun directly overhead for people that live along the equinox. No one else will see the sun directly overhead on the days of the equinox, right? It'll only be overhead. It will only be overhead for those observers, right?
What's your point? The perception of the sun has a circuit over top of us.
But then for everyone else along any line of longitude, the sun will be at an angle tilted equivalent to their latitude. In a way that's for every 69 miles it'll be tilted 1 degree, which would be
I just tilted relative to your. Sorry.
It's tilted 1 degree every 69 miles, which would only work on a curved surface.
No, that's based on.
It wouldn't look that way.
No, my friend, that's based on your perception. It's relative to your location. It has nothing to do with terra firma curving.
So what creates
It's just a baseless claim, dude.
What makes the sun go lower and lower on the horizon as you move across?
It gets further away from you, man.
Yeah, but we can calculate that. We can just take the tangent of a triangle, and we can see that it doesn't correspond to the tangent of a triangle.
Well, no, we have a field of view, and then we map out what the sun does within it. Eventually, you can't see it anymore. How am I lost?
Well, let me ask you something else. Does the sun move? Does the sun move in a straight line across the flat Earth, or does it move in a circle around the flat Earth?
It circuits over top of us.
Okay. Do you think that it's possible to measure how fast the sun moves over the land by measuring how long it takes to? No.
No, because all we have is the apparent location, so we don't have a distance.
But it has a period though, so that we can base.
But we don't have a distance.
You've got the ground speed of the sun, right, Jake?
Yeah, but we don't have the actual location of the sun. We don't have the actual location of the sun.
So you're saying that when the sun... So what you're saying is if the sun looks like it's directly overhead, that doesn't mean it's overhead.
It may be a little different. Yeah, we don't have the actual location. We also don't know the distance.
Why is that?
Hold on, Xanac.
No, wait. Why does that matter?
What? Because where it's at, if you're trying to, for example, if you're to try to triangulate it, right? If you assume an actual location.
No, we're not trying to triangulate.
Okay, how do you know the distance?
We're just trying to figure out
how do you know the distance
speed of the sun.
Do you need to know the distance?
No.
Well, like take for example, if we look at
you don't need to know the altitude.
No. So let's say that we're looking at the speed of the sun over the ground on the day of the equinox, right? So we look at all the people that are on the equator. We know that the sun is going to, at some point during the day, it's going to pass directly at their zenith, which means right above their head, right where if you have a Coke can on the ground, there will be no shadow because the sun will be directly overhead, right? That's what zenith means. It means directly above you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know the distance between the people that live on this line of the equator, and so we can time how long it takes to go from one zenith to another zenith and establish the ground speed, right?
Well, based on the relative perception of an apparent location, again. So,
okay.
Well, are you going to act like that's not important?
Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem.
How do you whistle past that?
Why is it important?
Because if you don't know the actual location, if you're trying to deduce the speed in which it's traveling over top of the Earth, so relative to the Earth, and the standards you have of comparison is an apparent location, I mean, come on, dude. So you have that asterisk on it. You have that asterisk on it.
Why would we think it's somewhere else? Why would we think it's somewhere else?
Jake, nail them down. It doesn't matter where the sun is. It's the speed of the subsolar point that you're concerned with.
Exactly. Well, no, you're going to then deduce the supposed approximate speed of the apparent location.
But what's the error rate there? Is it very big? No.
How do I know? I don't know what the difference is with the apparent and actual location.
I think the important thing, though, is if we do that same calculation on the solstices, whether it's the northern hemisphere summer solstice or southern hemisphere summer solstice, that ground speed is the same, and it's slower than it is on the equator. It's going to be slower, but it's equally slower at both of those locations. But it's a much bigger circle on the flat Earth, which immediately then tells you it can't be a flat Earth and it can't be a circle, because it would have to be much higher when it's the summer solstice, or when it's the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere.
Okay, so to present this null hypothesis, don't you have to have some type of a straw man model? You're assuming a distance to the sun on a flat Earth.
All you need to do is what you just told me, which is a flat Earth with a sun circling. That's all that we have to assume.
No, that's not all you assumed.
Well, what else have I assumed?
You said You said that it wouldn't work on a flat Earth,
right?
Because it would have to go much faster.
The ground speed, yeah, of course. In order
okay, so we would have to know how high it is, man.
No,
I don't know why you keep overlooking that.
Why would
it does matter, dude? You don't think that the speed matters relative to altitude?
Hold on a second. Whether a light bulb is directly over my head or a light bulb is 1,000 miles above me, it doesn't change where the light bulb is above me. And I can, like, for example, an airplane, right? If an airplane is 1,000 feet above me and I want to time how long it takes to get from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, I can have an observer in Las Vegas tell me when that plane is right above their head. It doesn't matter if the plane is 1,000 feet up or 30,000 feet up. As long as it's over their head, we know where the plane is and we can calculate that time, can we not?
Sure.
And that'll tell us the ground speed of the plane, right? It doesn't matter if the plane is 1,000 feet above the ground or 30,000 feet, right?
Well, this is a little different, right? Because for one, we're taking an apparent location. We don't know the characteristics of the sun or what really the light that's propagating to us from it that gives us our apparent location, and we don't understand how to deduce the relative perception and how it traverses the sky.
You don't understand
what?
how to ask the right question.
basically, you just have to induce a bunch of made up stuff to explain something that clearly would work perfectly on a sphere, right?
They want presupposed.
Like we can't really tell where the sun is. We don't know what the sun is. We can't talk about the sky because the sky is like taboo. It's like talking about,
Dude, the sphere was made around what happens in the sky, dude. And people that go around and sound prediction is laughable.
I just gave you everything you wanted. I just said, okay, the sun is circling over a flat Earth. The problem is the observations don't match that. If we time the ground speed of the sun from one solstice to the other, we see it's the same. When it can't be because the circle is much smaller.
The ground speed.
No, maybe it changes speeds, man.
But the ground speed
would be different.
Hold on, Jeremy.
They're presupposed.
No, the ground speeds wouldn't be different if it slows down itself, but if the amount of distance covered, right, works out to where it is perceived to be the same.
That's on a flat Earth, the circle would have to be much bigger in the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere.
Are you not listening to what I'm saying? The sun might not go the same speed the whole time, but it just looks like it does.
We can clock the speed. We can clock the speed from one location to the other. For
how do you clock the speed?
You're talking about ground speed. We don't give a rat's ass about the ground speed through the sky.
Yeah, we don't have to talk
about the ground speed. How long it takes for it to go from one observer that lives on one of the tropics, the ground speed to go from
once again, the ground speed you're deducing is relative to an apparent location.
Before he's not deducing it from what you're deducing it. You're doing it in your head the way that you would do it. That's not what he's describing to you, though. He's not saying take the entire distance and divide it by the amount of time. He's saying that any two positions along the tropics, the the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, take any two positions 1 hour apart from each other, subsolar points. You can measure that distance and get the speed from that. You don't have to wait for the whole day to go by. And
okay, and the ground speed that you're deducing is inherently based upon the apparent location, and if it changes size but the apparent location does not change, you would not know that, assuming based on simply the apparent location. Cool. And I've said y'all act like I'm hand wave dismissing. You act like it's red herring fallacy or something, and it's not sequitur, and it's not. It's very relevant.
Discussing apparent positions, man. We're talking about the subsolar point, which is a very real position. Has a unique position at any given point in time. It's not apparent whatsoever. It's a real position.
No, what you see the sky doing, what you see the sky doing.
The sky. He's talking about
so you're not measuring the sun then.
Point, a very real position.
Okay, so are we measuring the movement of the sun in the sky? Yes or no?
We're talking about the point in the day when there is no shadows cast because the sun is at the zenith of the sky.
Are we measuring the movement of the sun through the sky? Yes or no?
No.
So it has nothing to do with the sun's movement.
Can you show us another object?
We're measuring the movement of the subsolar point on the ground.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with the sky, the sun moving in the sky.
Did not say it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, of course it does. It requires it.
Witsit, stop talking over me if you want to speak without being interrupted. You understand, son?
I don't know who you had to throw that in there.
Hey, no.
Yeah, you're a tough guy. We get it. Okay, Gamma, go ahead.
All right, now listen, you little bitch. The point is, you're retarded. It's taking way too long to explain this to you. A child could understand this.
I've already rebutted it. They're always offering rebuttal. Because you're just talking shit.
Just let me
I'll catch up with y'all later, dude. This dude's a fucking idiot. He's never said one thing substantive yet.
All right, let him finish.
I am kicking your ass at the moment, Witsit.
Please get to the point.
We have been telling him how this is simply tracking the rate of motion of the subsolar point. The subsolar point is on the ground. It's a physical, tangible location. It is there regardless of what the sun is, where he thinks the sun is. The sun could be a telepathic emission of a unicorn for all we care for this. The subsolar point moves across the surface of the Earth. And that is very simple and does not require knowing a distance to the sun, the brightness of the sun, the size of the sun, or any fucking actual location of the sun. You measure the speed of the travel of the subsolar point across the surface of the Earth.
Okay, so the light from the sun.
Wait. No, so here's the point. Here's the point of what Curva just said, and this is important because this next person who does this is going to be a dishonest fuck. But none of us are dishonest fucks, so let's not do it. The subsolar point is not an apparent position. Don't refer to the subsolar point as an apparent decision. Don't invoke anything that has to make anything that has to do with it an apparent position. We're talking about a real position, and there's no need to go over that again.
The light from the sun. It's light from the sun. You're saying that if it was on a flat Earth, it should change speed.
I've
already explained to you that that is. I already explained to you how that isn't true. I already explained to you that isn't true.
It would have
my
to
friend.
change speed.
Right, my friend. What I'm saying is, you're assuming that if it does change speed, you would be able to notice by the difference of light on Earth.
Hey, my friend, what you're assuming?
Oh, you can't respond to it either, can you?
Yes, I can right now. Let me do it. Can I do it?
Yeah, what I just say.
All right, I don't give a shit what
Exactly.
you say. I'm going to tell you something right now.
Ooh.
You are assuming that there is a ball in the sky that's nuclear powered, and it's rotating around the Earth, and it fluctuates speed between the hemispheres.
I never said that it was a ball of nuclear energy.
It's a physical object.
No, I didn't say that either.
I don't know what you say. It is that.
Like Kurt said, it doesn't matter what the sun is.
You're spiraling, dude.
It doesn't matter. The only problem is that it has the same ground speed over the two tropics.
Did you understand my explanation?
It's not possible.
What was my response?
Your response is that, it's just the apparent position. It may appear to be that way, but it's not really that way.
Nope. What I said. Well, yeah. Well, okay. Kind of. What I'm saying
That is what
the
you
light
said,
on
dumbass.
but the light on the Earth. Okay, that's we see one thing. We don't measure a difference. But you're assuming that automatically means that the sun is going the exact same speed the whole time in its circuit. But it may not be. It may go just the speed in which to maintain the light.
So don't you see though, Witsit, how dishonest it is though to say, okay, even though this observation would work on a sphere Earth, it doesn't. It's not actually what's happening. It's some other.
That's what y'all say to every observation.
But wait a minute. But Witsit, when we take into effect the fact that the sun rises to due east for every observer on the equinox, the fact that the sun rises in the southeast and sets in the southwest for observers that are in the very tips of the southern hemisphere.
Okay.
All those things don't work at all on a flat Earth.
No, what? Yes, dude. What are you talking? The globe Earth model was modeled around what the sun does.
So how can the sun rise in the southeast for someone that lives in Australia?
Yeah, simple. You should have a simple answer.
Yeah, the sun has a circuit over top of us.
How does that work?
But the circle is on the inside. It's all to the north for everyone in Australia. It could never be to the south. Look at any flat Earth conception.
Please exploit this.
Yeah, Rig keeps posting a pretty good and simple meme.
Explain that.
It's not just this one observation, Witsit. It's all these observations together which don't work on the flat Earth, which all work on a sphere. And we can throw in the north and south celestial pole. We can throw in all that stuff. None of this stuff works on the flat Earth. So we can do a little ad hoc hand wave for the speed of the sun over the discrepancy in the speed.
No, it's not an ad hoc hand wave. You're not listening to exactly what I'm saying. Then you're being dishonest.
Don't interrupt him first.
Okay, well, yeah, about you just say something worth a fuck or don't say anything.
It is a hand wave though, Witsit, because we know that the ground speed of the sun is the same over both of the tropics.
Did I decline that? Did I deny that?
Yeah, but on the flat Earth, you have a much bigger circuit to travel within 24 hours, so the speed can't be the same.
Did I deny that?
Yeah, I know, but you have to address it then.
I already did. What did I say, Kosho? What did I say?
You said exactly what I said not to say, which is it has to do with the apparent positions and.
No, that's not what I said. So you don't even know what I said. So I'll say it again. So it's about the light you see on Earth, right? And so if the sun had to change speeds, you're assuming that you would be able to tell a difference with the light on the Earth, that it would never just change the right speed to make it appear to be the same. I'm saying that's an assumption because everywhere else we see the Earth behave very harmonically.
Xanax, hold on.
So This is
okay. What's it? Here's the deal, though. I just did the math real quick. You just do cosine of 23 degrees, and you get something like 91%. So the distance that it travels in an hour is about a mile. Is about 1,000 miles, 1,039 miles at the equator, and 91% of that is what it's going to travel the Tropic of Cancer every hour, the subsolar point. The thing is that Jake's saying is that 91% of 1,000 miles, which is probably like 900 miles, it travels that same distance south of the equator. And so there's no way that you can conceptualize how this math would work of this subsolar point going this slower speed than at the equator, both at both tropics, at doing this, but somehow traveling a much greater distance overall. It doesn't make any sense.
Maybe it goes slower around the center.
No, but that's what I'm saying is it goes the same. That's what Jake's been saying. It goes the same exact speed.
Based on the amount of light on Earth.
No, based on the subsolar point and where it travels.
So not the light on Earth.
Not just that. It corresponds to exactly the amount of angular change in terms of where the sun is.
What if it just stays the same, dude? What if it just stays the same, but it moves different speeds?
It doesn't move different speeds because we can measure.
You don't know that.
I just told you how we make that measurement.
Okay, well, this is getting circular. Okay.
Under part is getting circular.
You start to see here though how
no, it's the one example ever. This is like when I say, look, there's a missing mile of Earth curve, and it looks just like it's flat. Y'all say, no, I promise, it just looks exactly like it is that it's flat, but it's not really. I promise it's a globe. I'm like, okay, how does this get sent 2,000 miles, not accounting for Earth curve? Oh, it's just a coincidence. It bounced off the ionosphere just like it was a globe. Everything I ever hear is that, and I'm giving you an honest response. I do not think you can make definitive claims as to what the sun is doing when we cannot even fully understand its characteristics or the medium it's in. You're going to tell me exactly what it's doing and how it's impossible on a flat Earth. You're going to tell me it's impossible on a flat Earth because you measure the amount of light. Okay.
No, what you're saying is
impossible. Guys, hold on a second. A better question though would be, why does it behave precisely as it would on a sphere? Why does it behave?
Why does everything behave exactly as it would on a flat Earth?
It doesn't.
The globe Earth was actually formed after we saw what the sun did. If you want to tout that as if it's some kind of brownie point for your side, that is so incredibly laughable to me, dude.
You and the man bun and these.
Hey, can you distinguish between prediction and post-diction?
The times when people thought.
What's the difference in prediction and post-diction?
What is the difference? You tell us.
Yeah, one comes after the fact, right? So if you have a observable phenomenon in the sky and you map a model around it, you can't go around 100 years later touting predictability. That's beyond foolish.
What if you predicted the post-diction?
No, you didn't. You didn't. This is where you tell fairy tales about Neptune and shit.
Can you?
Guys, we'll be much more potent if we allow one person's point to be exhausted before.
Well, I've been here for a while, dude. It's been real, I guess.
Wait, one question. Is that you and the man bun that everyone's putting?
No, that's Travis.
Oh, Travis. Oh, that guy's a bitch.
That's Travis.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'll catch up with y'all later. Maybe I should be honest. If this was 2-3 hours of y'all's globe slam dunks, dude.
Come on, dude.
Austin, I have a question for you though.
Let me guess. It's some kind of a backhanded gamma comment. Go ahead.
No, it's not a backhanded comment. Why did you fake that coin thing?
Why did I fake it?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You know exactly what he's talking about, man.
When did I fake a coin thing?
Okay, anyways.
Your coin video,
it wasn't my video. I didn't fake anything. Are you saying that you can't take pictures from a flat surface and it appeared to be obstructed from the bottom?
I'm saying that at the end it looked like the coin dropped more than
that wasn't my video. I can't personally attest to it. So
okay.
Anyways, it gets to the point where you're either lying, which you are, or you're just retarded. And I don't think you're stupid. I don't think you're a stupid person. I think you're.
So what's my motivation to lie, bro?
Having friends, maybe mom's basement sucks and you want to get out of it. I don't know.
Dude, I've lived on my own. Wait, let me just respond, dude.
No, he was leaving, man. Don't
listen, yeah, fair enough. I've lived on my own since I was 18, right? And dude, it's no big deal. There's no social benefit to this. I don't get friends from it. You know, I've had some lifelong friends. They're still my friends. Many of them have come to remove their bias and research it, but I haven't gotten additional friends. I guess there's like a little community online or something. But here's the deal, dude. Instead of trying to figure out my motivation and assuming that it's like malevolent or dishonest, disingenuous, maybe examine it like this, right? Like if I'm not retarded, then if I'm not stupid and I've looked into it for a handful of years, and I'm certainly nowhere close to being able to stake the claim to Earth's a globe, maybe you should think about it from that perspective, like why, as opposed to just assuming that I have some, deceptive intent.
Great, I thought about that, and I threw it aside because it wasn't true, and I'm to the point where you are just doing this for some other reason, some nefarious reason.
Okay, what reason is that?
And you're practicing arguments. If you're a lawyer and you're practicing to be a lawyer and you're doing this just as like a practice thing, I understand that. That's cool.
That would be incredibly inefficient.
So why am I doing it then? Am I doing it for the same reason? I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have shit.
Oh, there you go.
How am I stupid?
I don't know even who you are, man. I was just talking shit.
Got convinced from Joe Rogan.
Who's echoing?
It's me.
It's Tony's mic.
I'm leaving now. Bye. That was fun.
Okay, yeah. So, well, the thing is, I think we all.
You should probably leave too. And
yeah,
Chemo,
I think
wait,
we.
one more thing, Chemo, you're a bitch, man.
All right, stop spiraling.
Come on, man.
Yeah, Tony, you sound like you're 6-year-old who smokes 60
Just stop. Just stop. We don't need any of that, guys. Come on.
Okay, so anyway, I think the truth we all know is when people first hear about flat Earth, we expect every person that ever thinks the Earth is flat to be incredibly retarded, and a lot of you people do portray that is still the case. But if you were being honest with yourself, when you really go look into some of the arguments, like, it's far from being stupid. It's far from lacking depth, and there are a lot more holes to the heliocentric model than one would just naturally assume on the surface. And we weren't really told those things. And so, if you were being honest, you would at least admit you would think that these are not retarded people, that they're just misguided. You would think.
Soon?
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
yeah, you would just, if you're being honest, you would just say they're misguided. You wouldn't claim that they're stupid.
Oh yeah, but we already did that.
Okay, well, whatever, man. If y'all want to pretend that I'm stupid, then that's on y'all, But
I'm not
you can just
pretending.
say,
You're not just stupid. You're dishonest too.
so what am I getting out of this, though? Am I getting like money or social gain or something?
I have no idea.
It's how
attention
you
of negative thousands of comments, and
for you to get off.
I'm getting the attention of thousands of negative
comments. Feel better about yourself.
It's a way to boost your fragile ego.
Okay, fair enough.
This is how you make yourself feel better about.
Yeah, hey, there's people out there that like to get stomped in the nuts by women in stilettos.
I don't need to hear about your cup fantasies, dude.
Guys,
maybe this is your S&M version.
Move this along.
But anyway,
we're talking about.
Okay, but real fast, Coach, let me just respond, dude. Here's the truth, dude. It's not like there's no benefit to it. I don't make money doing it. I want attention. It's all kinds of negative attention. I know y'all may not think this because I'm very assertive and outspoken, but my personality really is. I never wanted to be like online or anything like that. I hate that shit.
Bullshit.
So now I know y'all. Okay, you may not
stop interrupting people, guys. For real.
You may not think that, and I can understand from your perspective why one would assume that isn't true, but it really is true. I haven't even done a video in a minute because I just don't really like it. So all I'm saying is my only motivation is really trying to figure out the truth, guys. We can agree or disagree, but try and look at the arguments more so than just assume that I'm like some crazy either retarded person or obsessed with deceiving people, because it's
okay. Now that we've said that, can we go back to talking about what we were talking about, substantial stuff, and instead of talking about people's possible reasons for doing this?
He was leaving. That's why we said it.
That's the only reason I even brought this up.
Leaving.
That's cool.
Conversation.
Kosho, are you seriously thinking we were talking about substantial stuff? Are you serious?
Yeah, we were talking about stuff that we can substantiate and show to be true and not true. We're talking about real disagreements about what these things are doing on the earth.
Okay.
Hey, if the surface,
hold on. What's it? I don't even know why you came to this funeral.
Here's what I'm saying. Stop talking, OJ. We're not going to talk about that. We're talking about real stuff.
All right. Yeah. Second of all,
no, there's no reason. It talks about that.
No, I'm talking about that. Shut up.
I'm talking.
Second of all, I can't believe that someone in this server, would say that you're not talking about substance when we're talking about this debate here. Why the fuck is your name this name then? Why is it debate flat earth and more? If all you're going to do is tell flat earthers that there's nothing to debate.
Well, sometimes people want to talk about the end more.
People just think it makes them cool to beat up on who they think is stupid, and they have consensus on their side.
No, but don't say you're stupid.
We're just dishonest, pathological liars that have some type of deceptive intent. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. I don't see a problem talking about the way someone acts in a room or pretty much just thinks. We should be able to dissect their thoughts if we want, or maybe make a room. Maybe we make a room where we can, talk about the way someone is.
But what happens when your psychoanalysis
is psychological way?
Right. But what happens when your psychoanalysis is all bullshit and not actually true?
What happens when your view on the globe Earth is wrong and not true?
Oh, I'm not claiming I know everything, but I'm just saying you're claiming to know my intentions. So that's really weirdo thing to do.
No, not you. Humans.
I was actually pretty socially accepted, So I've talked. Yeah, bro. I mean, whatever you want to consider that. I don't want to say things that are going to come across arrogant. But I'm just saying, I never had a motivation of like I really want to fit in or something. Like that's not what happened. I promise. I mean, it was nothing like that. In fact, I heard about it, thought it was incredibly retarded. I went to just shut it down, and that didn't happen. I was honest about it.
All say.
What I think happened is that you were honest with what you just said, and you got into it, and then you realized it was bullshit, but you were getting something from it. I don't know what you were getting from it.
What am I getting from it?
I don't know. I just said I don't know, but whatever you got from it, you wanted to keep it going.
How could you say that that's true?
Because I like psychology, and there's not much that separates humans when it comes down to it.
Dude, this has come with all kinds of social side effects, right?
What does that have to do with what I just asked you?
Well, it jeopardizes future employment.
You don't understand what it has to do with it. You don't understand what it is.
How do you know I don't understand? Because you didn't say shit. What is it that you said that was so hard to understand? All you said was psychology, blah, blah, blah.
There you go. It's the blah, blah, blah part.
Because it has nothing to do with what I asked you. It was non sequitur. That's why, my guy.
Well, instead of trying to figure us out, how about you just be honest about the conversation?
Come on. Hey, you guys are both really smart. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, but you think you're being smart, a smart ass. No, but I bet you that we are smarter.
No, I am a smart ass.
It doesn't matter. We all have our own aptitudes. We all have our own aptitudes, dude. It's not about that. It's just about being honest, right? Like, dude.
Exactly. See, you keep saying honest, man.
I got nothing but negative social ramifications from this, right? Like my parents thought I was crazy. Like everyone thinks I'm crazy. I've jeopardized future.
So you like standing up?
Stop interrupting.
You like standing out there,
and just don't go on for too long. But stop interrupting, guys.
All I'm saying is it comes with the exact opposite of social benefit. That's all I'm saying. But whatever. I mean, I don't understand how you can sit from the outside and pretend to know that someone would choose that motivation when it doesn't even make sense, But
really? Do you think that there's people out there that would do that?
Well, it's one of two things. Either people call me stupid or they admit I'm not stupid, so they say I'm some like evil mastermind or something, It's just so funny to see people self-project.
That's what you like. That's what you like right there. That's what your goal is. Not goal, just what you like.
What?
You like being that evil fucking.
Yeah, that's such a weird
It makes
claim.
you're a smart person, okay?
How about it, bro? You know what? You know what? Because you Globers always have to try and find something wrong with the person rather than information being presented.
Great.
Hold on, finish. Don't interrupt me.
Hey, Grummy.
Only thing you do is go, it must be stupid. It must be wrong.
Grummy.
Shut up.
Grummy, what happens when you are told the same fucking thing every day, 30 times a day or whatever, and you don't change your mind or don't learn? Then what?
Well, I know more about your religion than you do. I know more about your religion than you do, though.
That's great.
What do you mean that's great?
No, you don't.
How is that great?
It's great because that's a lie.
Okay, what's up with the galaxy rotational speed? Does it work with the theory of relativity?
Ben, we're not going to sit here and do the things you think you know about.
What year was it discovered?
That you don't know shit about the globe.
What year was it discovered that theory of
relativity?
Yeah, what's dark matter?
On top of what he said.
Why is that relevant in any way?
Because you don't even know your own religion. You just think you know it's true. You believe people. You trust. Wait, let me say this. You trust and believe people to think for you. That's the difference.
No, see, what it is you have memorized a certain pattern of things, and now you throw it back at people when you want to look like you're smart. And most of the time, you're wrong about half the shit you say.
No, you just won't re-examine what people thought for you.
Jeff.
What I do is I trust in expertise. Yes, I do that. Reputable expertise. Of course, I trust in that. And it's unreasonable not to. So
what about these expertise, like what you would call expertise when they have contradicting opinions?
Well,
what do you think then? You think for yourself then? Is that so you wait for them to work it out to think for yourself?
It's a question for Jim, not everyone.
So what you guys have done is talking about galaxy rotational speeds and dark energy is what you're doing is identifying that there are things that are the cutting edge of our knowledge.
You mean that falsify it?
Can I finish?
Sorry, good.
That are at the cutting edge of our knowledge and that we're still learning about. And because there's debate about this, because there's some things we're unsure about, what you guys do is focus on that and go, ha, things you're unsure about. You guys don't know anything. Well, of course.
That's a straw man. That's a straw man.
I disagree.
Jim, with you specifically, I can understand what you're saying, right? I know that.
Then in mentioning it, then
I'll explain it. The difference is.
What is the point in you brought up the rotational speeds of galaxies? So what was your greater point that you were going to make about that?
I was just making a point, like it was known in the 50s theory of relativity wasn't working just because of within the own paradigm the galaxy rotational speeds wasn't working. But look, this is the point. Jim Panda with you and a few with a few other people. Wait, can I just make a point, please? Can I make a point, please?
Some things.
Where's Scott Beach? You guys are putting this room to shit. Where's Scott Beach? Because you weren't supposed to be talking. Witsit wasn't finished.
Oh my God! White knighting in.
He made his point, and he didn't address my.
No, because I was trying to, and you cut me off while I was.
Okay, so what is the greater point of this?
Okay, so what you basically were saying is that we act like if you don't know some of the things that are openly acknowledged not to be known, that we say you're uninformed, don't even know your own religion. That's not what we mean when we say that, and that's not how we. That's not what we do. We're talking about the people. They don't know the radius, circumference, orbital trajectory, axis, anything of it. They don't know anything about gravitational orbit, where it came from, when it was superseded.
Neither do you, man.
That's just.
There you go. You ought to cut me off.
Hold on, but none of that's true. They don't know the radius.
There are tons of people that think flat earthers are stupid that don't know the radius. Hey, are there a lot of people on Earth that think? Are you afraid to hear the question?
You're doing exactly what I said. You're saying because there's this doubt about dark matter, now we don't know the radius.
That's a lie. That's not what I said at all.
That's nowhere near what he just said, Jim. That's nowhere near what he just said. He was saying,
somebody just said we don't know the radius, we don't know the axis.
Somebody accused him of not knowing the globe. He said he knew the globe better than the person. He knew the religion better than the other person. Hold on, don't talk over me. He said to somebody else that he knew the religion better than them. So he asked them a question about them things, and then you jumped in and said, "Why are you talking about that for?" He's talking about that because he was answering another glober who said that he doesn't know nothing about the world, but then he tested his own. He tested his knowledge. Well, you weren't listening. Well, you're not listening to, are you?
Look, the globe, the shape of the Earth has absolutely nothing to do with rotational speeds of galaxies.
I know it doesn't. He's trying to make a point. Oh, God.
So he's making the point that he knows the globe model better than somebody else in this room. Why does he need to refer to those two completely irrelevant things that you have just agreed are completely irrelevant?
Well, that's technically within the current model of heliocentrism. Yeah, separate from the shape of a globe specifically, but the current model is heliocentrism. It has an explanation of space-time being warped, causing gravity wells based on the dispersal of mass. That's what you believe. That is technically your religion. You think that we see things appear to move in the sky because actually we're moving. Everything else is moving in continual vectors. That's what you believe, man. We didn't come up with it. So if we why hand we dismiss it? All I'm saying is don't conflate it, dude. I don't come at people
because
like you or Scott Veach. I don't come at people like you or Scott Veach or anyone else that has had this conversation for a long time and say, y'all don't know anything about the globe Earth model. I know you people do. Y'all have had these conversations a lot. I'm talking about the average person that just hears y'all debate or something like that, and they're like, stupid flat earthers, and they don't know anything about the actual globe Earth. Majority of the population doesn't even know. They don't need to.
They don't need to know about these abstracty things that you're talking about. They're irrelevant to the conversation.
The radius value and how it was come up with and all that.
You see, Brummy? You see how we're back on radius, even though
I'm just giving a list of examples.
I can see what you're saying.
You see how we've got from we don't know about dark matter to we don't know the radius somehow.
I didn't bring up.
How did that happen?
Some globers don't know the radius.
Yeah, my point was just like it's just a bigger premise, Jim. Calm down. Why are you screaming? Why are you screaming? This is like
why do they need to know the radius?
What I'm saying is
required or expected.
I'm trying to tell you right now that some globers don't know these things, even though they might not be.
Why does it matter?
Here we go. So
why does that matter is my question.
He's showing you that he knows more about the globe than most globers. Simple as that. Information. So it's your own religion. He knows more about it than you.
Why Why are people in the street required to know the radius of the Earth?
No, they're not. They're not. This is the point. This is the point.
That's the point in here. The guy that's in this room. Very global that's in this room.
I'm going to have to mute you, Brummy, so I can finish the point.
Go on.
Why is it significant if a person in the street doesn't know the radius of the Earth and Witsit does? What does that mean in any way? How does that matter?
Because, dude, what I'm saying is most people just don't fully even understand what they do believe.
Because
That's just
this has been established for 3,000 years.
That is so stupid and patently false that it's insane. The Greeks that came up with that idea had a metaphysical motivation, and they were a minority. So please stop regurgitating bullshit that's easily provable to not be true. Okay, the big thing here is, dude.
Hold on, prove it not to be true. Let's do that. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
It was proven that they knew the Earth was a ball for 3,000 years. No, a minority
group. Have you got any evidence that that's not true?
A minority group of people postulated that the Earth's a sphere. They had a metaphysical motivation for doing so.
2,500 years ago, yeah, but
that's what he said. He said 3,000 years. So anyway,
since then, the idea has propagated, right? So
okay.
What's the problem?
Okay, so anyway, it just they represented like it was known stupid flat earthers. People knew this a long time ago. No, they had no evidence for it at all. They made it up based on a spiritual, metaphysical motivation.
You haven't got any
and they wrote about it. They didn't think the perfect shape was a sphere.
Yes, but that isn't what
defined perfect?
A spiritual, metaphysical motivation or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because what defined perfect?
Are you talking about?
Have you any evidence that that's true?
Yeah, they thought it was perfect because of just the metaphysical balance.
How have you derived a religion where they derived the sphere from it? How have you got that?
Wait, dude.
They thought the sphere was the perfect object. So how have you, or the perfect geometric shape? So how have you got from that to they just came up with the globe because it was a whatever spiritual metaphysical thing?
They had like a metaphysical interpretation of what a perfect shape was, and that the Earth had to be that. What do you mean? They thought the sphere was the perfect shape. That's why they thought the Earth was that. That's it. There's nothing more about it. But people bring it up, and that's literally all it is.
How do you know?
That's what they said. They said that they thought the sphere was a perfect shape.
What evidence is there that they said that?
Okay, I'll have to go find it then.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so now that you've diverted away from the bigger point, was a lot of these people don't even know the intricacies.
You're just making.
You don't even know the history of their own religion a lot of times, right? It's like they got the radius from Alberuni looking at the horizon. You don't even know that. Okay, I gotta go then. Y'all are just gonna fucking overtalk me then. Whatever. That's a very what a good. Oh, good one.
It's just you come in here making all these claims that you can never back up with.
That's not true.
Well, but what evidence have you ever shown?
So wait, to clarify, I'll come back at 7:01 p.m. where I'm at. You're disputing that the Greeks said the sphere was a perfect shape, yes or no?
No, I'm not disputing that at all. You
okay, so
and you know it. I agree with that. I agreed with that and clarified it with you. So I wonder what you did to do that little dodge.
Well, no, I'm saying they thought that the Earth was a sphere.
What you're doing is you're evidencing that because they believed a sphere to be a perfect shape, that because of that, the Earth for them had to be that shape, and that's why they made it that shape.
Oh, okay, you're right. It's probably just a coincidence.
Because of that religious belief.
Then it was probably just a coincidence.
Or a fact of reality, perhaps.
Oh, wait, what? How did they figure out reality?
Well, measuring.
What made them want to make it? What made them determine it could be a ball?
Well, all of the evidence that surrounds us.
That's not true. Can you provide citation for that? What evidence?
The history of the globe is the evidence.
No, actually, they came up with just an idea, a vague idea, and they were a minority group. Everyone else still thought the Earth was geocentric stationary point.
You don't know that. You haven't.
So y'all just lie about everything. So, all right, cool. So you're right. The globe Earth was a majority-held position 3,000 years ago.
I didn't say that, but you don't know. What you just said was everybody else thought the Earth was a flattened stationary plane. Well, you have no evidence of that.
Well, can you name one place that didn't except for them?
Okay. Have you any evidence of any place that did?
Yeah, I'll give you all the ancient depictions of the Earth.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about at the time of Pythagoras now.
Okay, you said 2,500 to 3,000 years ago. Yeah, everyone thought the Earth was flat.
At the time of Pythagoras, which I think is about 2,500 years.
Are you saying the Greeks weren't the first one to propose the Earth being a ball?
No, I'm not.
If they were the first ones, then that means no one did it before them, which means everyone else thought it was flat.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, well, this is the world of mental gymnastics y'all live in.
No, it doesn't mean that. It's the Polynesians, for instance. There's no evidence that they thought the Earth was flat at all.
Did they think it was a ball?
And we know that they navigated using sextants that assume it's a sphere. So,
oh, really?
Well, a sextant does.
Really? Yes.
Oh, yeah. What year was this done? Can you provide the citation, please?
Who gives a shit? It's before what you were talking about.
When we first came across Polynesians doing this was hundreds of years ago. So it's difficult to know how long ago they were doing it. But they were certainly navigating the South Seas for thousands of years because they're living on islands throughout the South Seas and were, and there's plenty of evidence that they did do for thousands of years. So
yeah, there's tons of evidence that there could have been very efficient travel going on way back in the day.
Could have been,
and they all assumed the flat Earth.
But the evidence is that they had a sort of a spherical idea of that they used for navigation, at least.
How did everyone else navigate?
Flat maps.
Hey,
most people at those times, most people weren't navigating long distances, were they? So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the Vikings did.
Apparently, the UK's map was like the original map of the world. Like the way it's all big and all that, like it's easy to navigate. So, but obviously, someone's trying to deceive the world, and they had to turn it into something it wasn't.
You're wrong.
But there's this common idea, and I don't know what you subscribe to on this, Witsit, but there is this idea in Flat Earth that I've heard bandied around a bit, that the idea of the globe was introduced sometime in the 1930s or sometime around the turn of the century, this sort of idea.
No, it wasn't introduced then, but it wasn't accepted on a wide scale before the 1900s.
I mean, what evidence have you got?
We know that globes have been around since the 1400s, so no one's really saying that.
But hold on, but let me just get to what he's just said. What evidence is that until the 1900s it wasn't widely accepted?
Well, I'll say it like this. I'll
absolutely crackers that you've said that, I think.
Well, I mean, was the curriculum teaching a heliocentric model in the 1800s in the U.S.?
What was the curriculum?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I tell you,
then you're wrong.
Pointer for this is Eric Debay's 200 proofs. Most of that has come from Rowbotham and Carpenter, who were two very famous flat earthers in the
1800s.
In the 1800s. But the reason they were famous is because they were flat earthers. They didn't hold. That's what made them famous.
Sure. I agree. It was definitely.
If you read the letters to the newspaper, when Rowbotham did his lecture tours, the people wrote letters to the newspapers afterwards, and they say all the same things that Globers say now. They say, I can't believe a person living in the 19th century believes the Earth's flat. I can't believe it. All the same stuff we say, all the same proofs and ships going over the horizon, Polaris.
Supposedly we've been to space now, right? Totally different. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
That tells us at least in the 1800s it wasn't.
Sure. Well, no, it was certainly not unheard of, right? I definitely don't claim that. I'm just saying it wasn't like open and closed sealed consensus of the Earth in the 1800s, and that's just kind of the bigger point. We're not claiming that no one thought the Earth was a ball. At least I never have claimed that. I'm just saying
a man made money entertaining people doing lectures where he said the Earth was flat, and that got him money by doing that. So that
what was the main reason people thought they had
everyone on every street corner and in every pub thought that and held the same set of beliefs? Then people wouldn't have paid to go and see him say that.
Well, maybe we can agree with this though. So, what was the main thing that happened that thought it showed everyone the Earth was a globe?
Jesus died.
It was right. It was Christopher Columbus supposedly using the Copernican model to discover the Americas.
Nope.
Well, that's what everyone was told. That's what everyone was told.
I was told that. Cool.
That's true. There was this legend that grew up around Columbus and his voyages, and the idea that sailors believe that they might fall off the edge, and that is true. not because they thought the Earth was flat, but because they thought it was a globe. And at that time, people hadn't traveled below south of the equator, barely. And some people believed that you couldn't travel south of the equator because it got hotter and hotter as you got closer to it. And people believed it was just too hot for human habitation, or there was no land there, or there were freaky creatures living there and stuff like that. So they believed that once they got over the curve of the equator, that they wouldn't be able to get back up again. And so this idea of falling off the edge grew up. But it was based on the idea of the Earth being a globe, not being flat.
But people were taught that Christopher Columbus used the Copernican model and discovered the Americas. I mean, very prominent people. Even Nikola Tesla was taught that. He said something to the effect of, we know the Earth's spherical because Christopher Columbus utilized the Copernican model discovering the Americas. I mean, it was the consensus idea of what demonstrated that the Earth was in fact a ball, was that myth or legend of Christopher Columbus using the Copernican model. And so that was a huge deal. So I will never say that it was never heard of or anything. Like, some people interpreted that to be evidence that in fact the Earth were a ball, right? And that happened in the 1400s. So of course, you know,
what
15. Well, what difference does it make? Well, that isn't actually what happened, you know.
Who cares? What difference does it make? The Earth is
that means that what we were all taught as the first proof actually isn't true. That just seems odd.
Who's what we were all taught? Who cares what we were all taught? What difference does it make to whether it's wrong or not?
Well, it matters because people are being taught these things that aren't actually true. I'd say that matters.
And you've overcome that.
Well, anyone that tries to, only real education is self-education. So if you go and verify some of the things you were taught for yourself, then I mean, sure, you'll find out that isn't true.
So what you're doing is coming here and telling us how you've overcome this brainwashing that we are all still subject to, and therefore you're better than us.
Well, no, I'm sure y'all don't. No, I'm not. I never said I was better, and I'm sure there are things that y'all know that you were taught that isn't true, right? I mean,
sounds like
of the globe Earth.
Scott,
that's not what I'm saying.
Scott, you said yourself to me when we spoke, right? When we spoke, you said to me that how does someone indoctrinate themselves? It's a very difficult thing to do because it's so embedded in you from day one, and you know it's almost like anything that you think to the opposite is going to be a negative thought. So everything that people are saying to you, and we're trying to wake you up to it, would seem negative. So it's only clarifying that we're in the right direction. But
okay. But so it's very difficult. And hold on.
I've been muted and everything. I haven't been able to talk.
I was just having a conversation here with. Let me just finish one thing.
Yeah, but I'm making a point of what you said because I was trying to compliment Jim on what he was saying because I liked it.
Go ahead.
I learned a little something.
Can I get after him though?
And all of you guys have the capacity to say something cool. It's just you guys dump on us right at exactly, Curve. That's what I mean. Whenever I come in here just to have a talk,
bro. You're dumb. That's why.
I was trying to say something.
It's always this guy that calls everyone dumb.
I'm not going to be able to get back in, am I?
No, go ahead. It doesn't even matter. Go ahead.
Thank you. Anyway, I got.
Let me repeat back to what you said. You said it's very difficult to break these paradigms, right?
Yeah. It's a
but
bit
you
like.
Did it. But you did it, right?
But let me give you a character.
Hold on. Can you just answer my question?
I'm answering.
You said it's very difficult to break these questions, but you're saying you did it. Is that just true or false?
It's the same as when I understand some of the things.
Did you do it?
Come on. Let me answer it how I want to, Scott, because it's not fair that you've put me through a strict way of answering this question. I will answer your question. Yes, I did it, but it's the same as me when I have to understand things about the globe where it takes, a higher level of understanding in order to get it. Do you know what I mean? So if I can get all the stuff that was purported by the globe, it's not like I'm capable of doing it at the UN. You are a very capable human being, and I respect your intelligence and the way that you speak. It's very articulate, well-spoken, very, very, very. I respect the way you speak, but to be indoctrinated is what it is, unfortunately.
So just so I'm clear, and I'm hearing your point. You were able to overcome this indoctrination that I wasn't.
Yeah, you sound real upset about that or something.
But
I'm just trying to hear what he's saying.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that I was able to do it is because I've grown up in my life with very different, diverse type of people and very conflicting views. You know, I've got a black and family, I've got a white family, but hold on, excuse me, I've got a black family, you've got a white family. They're very polar opposites, but then hold on, stop interrupting me, please. Can I get the room?
Guys, please, just let him finish. Don't talk.
When's he going to say something, Jim? When's he going to say something worth a point?
You don't get to decide that. That's not where you decide, and I'll just talk over him.
I appreciate that, Jim. Scott, I think sometimes some people haven't had to face certain adversities or certain things in their life, and I was quite fortunate for the way that my life panned out to have such diverse people, diverse opinions, and polar opposites. Well, even within my family, I've got a black family, a white family. They're very much the same, but they're absolutely completely different. So I feel like sometimes some people don't have, not just because you might have different life experiences makes you the person you are, which is still intelligent. But if you haven't had certain experiences where you've had to kind of unlearn everything you've learned, which I have had that a lot, where I've had to see things from an opposite point of view, and so I feel like that's probably why I'm able to. Doesn't mean I'm more intelligent than you, or could do better in certain things than you. Everyone has their gift in their own way, and I'm able to do that. So I don't know if you are able to. Well, when we've done that thought experiment, I didn't feel as if you was able to really to let go of everything that you know in order to go through what we did, and that's one of the reasons.
So let me just repeat back, just so I make sure I understood you. So you've overcome these things that I haven't, because you've had reasons.
Yeah, my life experiences have obviously been a lot differently. You probably had a lot.
I understand you. There are reasons you've overcome them, and there are reasons I haven't. But long story short, you've overcome these things that I haven't.
Well, I mean, do you agree there are some things that we've been deceived about? I mean, there are obviously some pretty big things people call conspiracies. Would you agree with any of them?
No.
So you think that 19 box cutters or hijackers with box cutters really took down the buildings at free fall speed, including World Trade Center 7 that was not even close to it and had a random office fire?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe the
sensibilities? But okay, go ahead.
Do you believe the attack that prompted the Vietnam War was true?
No, that one's documented to be a lie.
Okay, so it's only
documented that.
Is it all true until like decades after the fact they declassify and admit it's a lie? Was it true until they admitted it?
It wasn't decades after the fact. The Pentagon Papers were released slightly after that, just a couple of years.
Was it true until it came out?
I would have had no reason to believe either way at the time. But yeah, okay. I don't assume conspiracies.
Okay, so there's
the way my mind works.
That noise.
Sorry.
I think it's definitely counterproductive to assume conspiracies. I 100% agree with you, and I know a lot of you may think that's not the case, but I promise I'm actually very skeptical to consider a conspiracy theorist. But to say that none of these things, like the official narrative that they gave us on a lot of these things, are provably not true. You can falsify what they said. Now, falsification is independent of replacement, dude. But I mean, to think that
a lot of these things again.
If you think World Trade Center 7 just randomly had an office fire on the same day as 9/11, and then it free fell also when it had all the CIA, FBI, and NSA documents in it, and it's just a coincidence.
Nobody believes it had randomly had a fire. You're just making, you're making
an office fire started it.
Nobody thinks
No, it didn't.
Okay, what made World Trade Center 7 fall?
The fact that a burning building was falling on it.
Oh, so the World Trade Centers fell onto the World Trade Center 7.
Parts that
it was on fire.
Yeah,
it's office fire is the official explanation.
I would prefer not to be sidetracked into a different conversation about which conspiracy is theory, because I want to stick to the fact of why you believe you understand these things, and no one else
that's what I'm just making a point for the audience here. Like you think, oh, you figured this out. You said it like 5 times. Oh, you figured it out, but I just couldn't. Like.
And that is what you're saying,
right? Insinuating that we think we're better than you or something. But if you have not even come to the mental state or realization that a lot of the stuff the government tells you isn't true, then there's nothing you can do. That's a personal decision, my friend. So agree to disagree.
Yeah, exactly. You figured it out, and I haven't, right?
Yeah, you don't have to word it that way to try and make it a negative.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure I understand you. That's all.
Either entertain it and do research diligently without bias, or do not, my friend.
Fair enough.
We can even go forward to weapons of mass destruction.
But now we
people
see
that lost their lives. I mean,
and now we
does the
see the
belief-
emotion. Now we see the emotional kickback that you guys claim isn't there. There it is for you all to see. You get to believe that you've got the edge, that you're awake, you're woke, you're seeing stuff that just us sleepy sheeple aren't seeing.
If you think the government never lied to you, you're wrong.
Effectively, I've never said that.
But if anyone thinks that, they're wrong. It doesn't make us crazy for knowing they lied.
Effectively, you're giving yourself a superpower and then saying, I don't get any emotional kickback from this.
No, that's not true because, for example, with 9/11, I don't even claim to know what happened. I have no idea. I just know the official narrative is provably bunk. I don't even make a claim. I don't know exactly what the earth is either. I don't even make a claim about that. It's just y'all just conflate our intellectual honesty with arrogance. Somehow it's weird.
All you're doing is saying, I don't believe you about multiple things in as an most elaborate way that you can possibly come up with.
No, I don't just randomly say that. I say that in response to research.
Saying, I don't believe you.
I wouldn't even go there. It's not about belief. It's about knowing. If someone tells you, hey, this thing in reality is a specific thing, and I'm like, okay, let me verify it. Oh, can't be verified. There's nothing about that has belief in it. It's either knowing or not knowing. If I tell you a story, then I can choose to believe it or not.
Exactly.
There are family members that I choose to believe. But when it comes to objective things, there's nothing to do with belief.
Well, I'm sorry, but you have absolutely no access to anything objective. Listen, I'm making a point. Everything that you can reason about is the result of your subjective experience. You have no access to anything objective. So
the human body needs oxygen to survive.
You cannot say this is objectively true because you don't know that.
I just want to say this. Can I just get a point in, Jim?
None of us do.
I just want to say this. Look, it's sad that you tried to make the claim that we know something you don't, therefore we've figured it out. We're at the edge. But literally every single argument. Hold on, don't interrupt me. Every single argument the Globe side makes is that you don't understand. You're just not smart enough to understand. Let me explain it more to you. Let me give you some more information. You just don't understand. You went on this level. So literally every single thing you do about the globe is to be claiming that you have this insight that we ain't capable of having. And every flat earther and a lot of flat earthers out there are very intelligent people that do understand the things that you're saying, but you try to make him out like they don't. Here we go again. Interrupted. Lovely.
But you've made the point. I don't do that anyway. I mean, I haven't done that. I don't say you aren't capable of understanding this. That isn't an argument that I've ever made. And I don't think many people make that. But I think there is a difference because what people, in some ways, you're right. I think people here who on this side of the argument, they do want to feel clever. I think that's one of the things that motivates us. It's feeling like we know better on something, that we're right, being right on something. So I think there's some truth in that. But what we're doing is we're saying to you, if you like, be correct as other human beings are. What you guys are doing is saying we're more correct than most other human beings. We've ascended what most other human beings are. We're this set of woke people that's better than most of human beings.
Dude, I know people that have cried when they found out some of these conspiracies, so that's just not true.
We're saying be like most human beings in your reasoning and understanding.
When we refuse, hold on, Brenda, let me respond to it. When you refuse something, like let's say looming, or we refuse it, and we find we have to start from the start to figure something out, because what we've been taught since day one isn't what you guys have learned, and you guys will refer to people that have got these degrees and all these things and say, they say that, so you just jump to subscribe to them. But the point
that's nonsense. That's not true. I've never once referred to anyone with a degree. What are you talking about?
Try to understand the point I'm trying to make. I was trying to make a point, but you kind of
which was bollocks. I know what point you were trying to make. It was very clear, and it was bullshit.
So we're not saying that we're smarter than these people that we're refuting. We just heard the evidence. We did a story. Well, you interrupted me, but we're not saying we're smarter than these people. Just some of the things that they're saying there is better alternatives, or not even better, just alternatives, and they are going to be more consistent with what we see in reality. So just because we don't accept it doesn't mean we think we're better than them, Brenda.
Yeah, you do. Flat earthers consistently say that they are smarter than PhDs in the relevant field.
Well, you know what? Every single global says they're smarter than the flat earther. So you know what?
Yeah, but that's the kind of energy that I've been trying to diffuse. With talking to, I haven't been on that kick necessarily. I don't even like the debate anymore. That's how I came in, because yes, I did watch, the likes of Nathan Oakley and QE, and I like this. But now I'm on a different path to try to understand, try to talk to people, because this is a serious situation. And the whole thing is, if you guys really feel that way, I feel like for at least 2 years, we did kind of see that. You know what I mean? We kind of did talk down to you guys after. I've been through the fire to feel like I had the right to curse some of you guys out. But you know what? I don't have that right. And it's not that we think we know everything. For me, there's a burning truth that I need to get out. I didn't come here trying to be right. I didn't really care whether or not people called me dumb or retarded. I got called stupid right in the door when I came in here today. And I didn't even.
They have no respect for you.
Yeah, we don't have to have respect.
What's the burning truth?
What's that mean? You don't have to have respect, Brenda. Elaborate, please.
Tell us about the burning truth.
Yeah, let's find out about the burning truth.
Well, if you don't have to have respect, you certainly don't have the right to complain about respect.
Exactly.
Yeah. We don't have to have respect for the ideas that you put forward.
Okay, you don't need to, but I think I respect every human being.
I wasn't even.
Regardless if I agree with them or not. If I agree with them or not.
I wasn't even. But that's a red herring, isn't it? But isn't that a red herring, Brenda? Because I was just
talking about the ideas. I'm talking about the ideas.
I was humanizing both sides, and you jump to ideas.
Well, your idea.
Y'all were talking about y'all were talking about the people. Y'all were literally psychoanalyzing the people known as flat earthers. That's what y'all were just doing.
I think we were.
So the ideas do not deserve respect.
Yeah, to your opinion, and you don't deserve respect with that idea. Your idea doesn't deserve respect.
That's too bad.
Your idea
doesn't deserve respect. This into the ground anymore.
Some of us are interested in psychology.
Brenda, what if I disagree with some fundamental ways that you interpret life? Does that automatically make you wrong?
Extremely rude to Elijah. He was asked to give us this burning truth, and you won't let him.
Yeah, that's true, Curve. That's true. We need to hear Elijah's burning truth.
We'll get back to Witsit's question in a minute. Sorry, Witsit. Let's just backtrack a little. Go ahead, Elijah, if you can, or if you want to.
Like I told you guys when I first came in here, and I thought, I don't even want to say I thought, because I don't want to trigger you guys, but I felt like it should have been that I was speaking to genuine people when I came asking questions about the distance to Venus, how we figured that out. That was one of the first things I asked. I said, do you guys know? How come there's no answer?
There is an answer.
There is an answer.
There's an answer.
But there's an answer.
But the answer isn't stapled in reality, though.
No,
it's just
you
an
said
assumption.
no. You're wrong. There is an answer.
I thought you guys were asking.
What's the answer you were told? What's the answer you were told?
All right, let him tell it. That's his burning truth. So this nonsense about.
Oh boy.
Brenda just can't wait for him to finish his sentence, you know.
But what's the answer you were told about Venus? What did they tell you? So it's not a burning truth, or what?
Yeah, you gonna finish, bro? What's going on?
Well, OG Swan, did you find out the answer about that Venus question?
Sorry, I dropped.
Did you find out the answer to that Venus question?
No, I never. I have the answer to it. It's just there's nothing to it but a bunch of assumptions.
So you were given an answer, you just don't accept it.
Because I have to believe it in order to accept it.
Bernard, do we have to believe
it? You have to understand it to accept
hold
it,
on,
which you
hold
don't.
on. Did not just hold on. I did understand it. I understood it. I took it in. I came in here. I asked you guys. You said, "Yeah, bruh, what's up with what's wrong with the assumption?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay,
what's wrong
that's
with
what it
it?
is. Okay, therefore,
Yeah, what's
I don't
wrong with
have to believe it because if I knew it, there would be no need for me to believe it."
So you have a question about Venus. You were given an answer. I don't know what that is, but I guess it's irrelevant at this point. And then you reject that answer.
Okay, so do we have
I
to
don't
just
see the
believe the
problem.
answer? Does the answer automatically thus become reality?
Not the issue right now. Shut up with it.
I don't see how that's. I don't see how that's a really a big complaint.
It literally is the
I mean,
issue.
well, no, how is it a complaint?
I think we
mean,
go
if
with the answer
if
that.
you ask a question. Go ahead.
Well,
Brenda,
I was going to say we go with the answer that's supported by evidence, right? If there's evidence, and I think he's getting.
I didn't get it. I didn't get evidence. I just got an explanation.
Yeah, you can't use the actual thing you're trying to explain as your evidence.
What was the Well, I guess we need to go into what was the answer that you got that you feel was insufficient.
Does anyone know? Is the distance of Venus, is that Cook in Tahiti?
Oh shoot! I would say like 0.75
Oh, there's
atomic.
no one person measuring it. I'd have to look it up.
It'd be like,
yeah,
it'd be like 0.75 times 91 million miles, whatever that is
Talking about the
mathematically. I
the
don't
first
know.
transit, right?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure myself. I'm just guessing. I think he's talking about establishing astronomical units.
Well, the thing is,
that's what he's calling the assumption, I think.
well, the assumption was that Venus and the Earth were the same size.
At first was just ratios, and it didn't become a number until the first measurement of Venus.
There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Lemon.
That's
yeah.
But
right
that's
there.
that was the first.
That being the assumption is that we know how big the Earth itself is, which doesn't check out with observation and simple math.
So the problem with that is you're just taking one historical. You're taking Huygens' first estimation, right, where he guessed that Venus was approximately the same size as the Earth, right? Right. So that was 300 fucking years ago.
Okay.
We've known things since then. We know things since then.
Okay.
We just the way that we know how far away Venus is because we bounced radar off it. The same way that a cop knows how fast you're going.
My God. No. That's not true. That's hold on. How could that be true?
Yes,
how could you use a radar to do that when you do it for the moon, you get one photon back? How could you do that?
I think that dolphins. I think that dolphins. Dolphins do in the water with the echo and it bounces back and they get radar signals like a submarine.
But let's not confuse it with lasers. Let's not confuse it with lasers on the moon. That's a different thing, right?
It's a bit like they do with the ground as well. The earthquakes. They try to measure them fucking the quakes and then they put it together like it's like a.
Yes,
like a
bro, I mean,
ripple
the
in the water.
TNS wave.
Wait, you actually believe that
how
they
how dare you when Brenda said we would use radar signals to the planet? You had to giggle like a little bitch because you don't understand the goddamn concept of what scientifically.
Oh my gosh, I'm about to shred you. Then I bet I can shred you on it.
Oh, fuck off with.
Okay, no, wait, time out. You just talked all big and bad. Time out. You talked all big and bad. So what's up, dude? Let's just talk about it.
Go ahead.
Well, no, okay. How do you substantiate the distance to the supposed planet with radio waves? Please enlighten me.
We know how fast the radio waves are traveling.
How fast is that?
The speed of light.
Go on to your next one.
Okay,
you know
is the speed of light based? Is the speed of light based on in a vacuum?
You know the answer to the question. Go on.
Is there a differential between the speed of light between the surface of the Earth and then a vacuum?
Yeah, you know what that ratio is?
You tell me.
It's pretty close to 1.
Pretty close to 1.
There's a small difference, but it's not enough to make any difference.
Well, it is a difference, though, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so the light doesn't travel the same speed through all the mediums, right?
That's not even. That's. I mean, how could that be true?
Hold on, Trimble.
The different speed is why you guys call the different speed is
why you guys think that things are refracted all over the place.
No. I want to stay on one point.
Hold on. It's the same reason.
I want with the answer.
Hold
what the
on. It's the same reason.
It's the same. In the vacuum.
Really quick. It's the same reason that you guys think that the sun sets and rises 5 minutes before the physical sun.
We'll get to that. We're back on the other point.
So don't say. Yeah, but the point
we'll get to that point in a second.
You're saying that it's no difference.
Good. We'll put a bookmark there. What's the answer? You asked the question. I know what the answer is. I want to know if you know the answer.
No, you tell me what the answer is.
No, you have to look it up. I'm not doing your fucking homework for you.
Okay, whatever. I don't care. So here's the deal. Here's the macro point. You have to know the rate of propagation. You have to know exactly where it changes. You have to know where to apply the differential. And you have.
The problem with you, Witsit, is that you have enough information to be dangerous, but you don't know enough when you're talking to certain people who actually have knowledge.
You just lost, though. You just lost. You just weren't listening.
I know what the number is. Look it up.
Well, tell him the number.
Here's the deal.
Please tell him the number.
Yeah. You're not even listening to the macro point anyway. So you got to know the rate of propagation, then you got to compare that.
Don't you see what you're doing, though, Witsit? Whenever anybody,
I do know what I'm saying. I do know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Whenever anybody presents any evidence, all you do is just come up with some creative way to disbelieve it.
That's a lie. He just said that he wouldn't give him evidence. But he said he wouldn't give him. That's all. He said he.
Rocket science.
I've muted you so that I can finish my point. So
okay, come on, man.
Shut up. I wasn't talking to you.
But you must see that you put yourself in a position where. Right, I'll have to mute Brummy as well.
Oh, see, I didn't know my mic was open.
Brummy got triggered. Sorry, Joe. I'm childish.
You put yourself in a position where you aren't actually capable of knowing anything. Because everything that we do know, you say, oh, well, there's this way that we could possibly doubt it.
That's what science is.
There's this, I mean, of course, in these measurements, there's a margin of error, but is that margin of well, look, you can scoff, but all measurements have a margin of error.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Even if you've got a ruler in front of you.
Fair enough.
It's not going to be exactly the same as every other ruler in the world. There's going to be slight differences. There's a margin of error, but that's all it is. It's a margin of error. We can know something. We can. Witsit, please just let me speak without your interrupting every word.
You're not addressing my bigger point, man.
I know I'm making a different point. My point is that you put yourself in a position of where you cannot be anything but ignorant. Because if you're going to reject measurements like this, because there's some slight margin of error, there's some thing that could slightly change it in some way, so we can reject the whole thing out of hand. You put yourself in a position where you can't know anything.
Well, this is a very important thing to know because it's all based around the very rate of propagation itself. That's the core of what your value is.
What is the margin of error, though, and how?
Well, this is what I'm saying. Okay, now listen. So if we assume that it becomes a vacuum, and then there's the speed of light from there all the way then back, right? What if the medium changes or is different? What if it isn't a vacuum and it has much different rate of propagation? Are you going to tell me if it has a much different rate of propagation, it would have no effect whatsoever?
But we have no evidence.
Because that's a lie. That's a lie.
But we have no evidence for that, do we?
Well, I can't independently go up there where they say there's a vacuum. I've never. Yeah, right. We don't have any. We don't have any evidence of that vacuum.
There, I think, don't you?
Wait, what evidence do we have there is a vacuum?
Just whataboutism.
No, that's what you want to say because I'm calling out there is actually a presupposition here. It's very crucial to the numbers themselves.
It's not a presupposition, is it?
Because it is. It's the rate of propagation. There's a differential between the surface and to the vacuum. And then you presuppose the vacuum goes all the way to this planet.
We've put thousands of spacecraft into that vacuum and measured it. So it's not a presupposition in any way. It's a result of measurement.
It's actually space pudding. It's actually space.
That's Lemon's batter.
This is all lame, man, to me, dude. I don't want to just believe in fairy tales, and y'all do understand.
It's space pudding. It's space pudding.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. How did you verify the propagation of the wave all the way through a vacuum?
But you are believing in fairy tales because you believe that you can't possibly know that we cannot possibly derive anything about distances to planets, for instance, in case the medium that we've measured turns out to be some other magical medium.
How is it magical just because it's different?
Well,
space pudding is magical.
Well, it's something that's not empty and nothingness is magical.
Well, we have no.
You mean hyperlogical? I think that's the word you're looking for.
We have no means of detecting it with our current means of detecting things.
Oh, okay.
That makes it, I think, if we haven't got any natural means of detecting this natural thing, that makes it supernatural, I think.
Yeah.
There's propagation within it, so.
There might be something there that we don't know about, but
obviously.
But at the moment, there's no evidence of that, so there's no reason to take it into consideration.
Yeah. So it's hyperdimensional magical space pudding with it. That's what it is.
That's a cool story.
We need a physical operation to go up there to verify what's up there: water, a firmament, vacuum, evacuated air, ether, whatever.
Yeah,
lucky for you, Lemon. We have gone to the moon.
No, you have not.
Yeah, we actually have.
You went too, Brendan? When did y'all two go to the moon?
We all.
We're using the we here for humanity.
Yeah. So no, you can't independently verify that. Only 24 people in the history. Only 24 people in the history of mankind have even claimed to go past low Earth orbit.
500.
24.
Over 500 people have been to space.
Not past low Earth orbit.
Rocky got away with the whole conversation, by the way. Big red hair, massive red herring away from rocket scientists, because it was supposed to be you versus him, and then all of a sudden, not saying Jem did it intentionally, but he jumped all over you and asking you questions. You've been answering questions all day, Witsit, right? It's time this motherfucker.
Actually, Brummy, no, he didn't answer my question.
It's time you answer questions. What are you talking about?
He tried with me what the difference is. I know what the answer is, and I want to check if he did. He doesn't.
Okay. So it's not very much. I know that. I know it's not very much. It's like 0.8, I think.
No, not even that. No, 1 minus 0.4 zeros and a 3 times the speed of light in vacuum is what the speed of light is in atmosphere. That's the differences.
Okay. Cool. So
that means
what if there's a medium difference that isn't the rate of propagation we assume because of the vacuum, right? And it's something different, then we would be thinking it's going way faster than it is this whole time that it really isn't.
So
that is factual, dude.
Hey, let me give you that for a second. Let's say for whatever it is, if it exists, it's all constant throughout space. And what we measure in vacuum, I'll put that in air quotes, is what we measure through that medium, and it's still constant and it still applies.
Well, how do we know it's constant? We have to know how far it's going to be able to know that.
It works.
Well,
that's circular, man. That's begging the question.
We understand.
And measure this in a controlled environment.
No, you did. You said you sent this to a planet through space, dude. I think you're complaining here.
There's an actual answer.
You're right, Witsit. This goes right back around to me saying, how do we know the distance?
There's an actual answer. There's a real answer to this.
I thought we were getting the answer by doing this.
We can send radio waves. We can take observations.
Wait, time out, Brenda. I thought we got the answer by doing this.
No, the answer.
And the different methods all align.
Wait, I thought we got the answer to the distance by doing this, though.
We did. But
so let's figure it out.
There's different methods.
So this was no good then.
Let me ask this. If it was water, it would be still 115,000 miles away. You're still fucked.
What?
I don't know.
If the medium all the way to the moon was was water, it still would be 115,000 miles away.
Who said it was water?
Firmament.
Okay. What material do you want to make? You want to make it out of glass?
Well, what if there's something that separates that medium and it's fluid-like, and we just don't fully understand?
Well, there could be blue fairies.
You mean like gravity or something like that?
The measurement we take by using parallax observation to these bodies matches the radar signal, the radar's time for a radar signal to reach there and back.
So those are
you need the rate of propagation. You take the rate of propagation.
Now you have to assume that we're moving, though, in order to do that.
So again, there is an answer to all this. There's an answer to all this. Whenever you're interested, just let me know.
No, you're not answering it.
Well, you're not allowing. You guys are just talking. So the answer
is the rate of propagation relative to the duration?
So I'm going to talk now. So the answer to this is what we call the uniformity of nature, which means that chemistry and physics works the same on Earth as it does everywhere else in the universe.
Okay, is the duration relative to the propagation?
So the answer is that physics and chemistry and biology all obey principles, physical principles that work everywhere in the universe. It's called the uniformity of nature. Vinegar and sodium on Mars will form carbon dioxide just like they do on Earth. Right?
Wow, did you do that?
No, this is a essential part of
a belief, thought experiment.
No, it's not a belief. It's not a belief.
Yes, it is.
It's something that we know.
How do we know that?
That's a belief.
Due to the impossibility of the contrary.
Oh, God.
To the dude, did you just say that? Due to the impossibility of the contrary.
That's correct.
Well, we can't reason without this assumption, can we? This is a
that's a hell of an assumption.
Hang on. Let me make the point. It's not a hell of an assumption. The uniformity of nature is essential to any logical reason. Hang on, let me make the point. I give up. Just interrupt.
I was just ask Brendan one question. Brendan, let me ask you a question.
I was just
hold on, Brendan.
Hang on. Let me finish the point then. Okay. If you don't assume the uniformity of nature, what can you know about nature? How can a scientific experiment tell you anything? Because if water boils at 100 degrees centigrade today, if you don't assume any uniformity, then tomorrow it might boil at 200 degrees or not boil at all.
That's not the problem.
That's not the problem. Of course you assume. Assuming the uniformity. No, I'm still speaking. You don't need to speak when I'm speaking. Assuming the uniformity of nature is axiomatic to most people. Almost everyone.
And I apologize, Jem. I was just trying to say,
Brenda,
I'm used
you
to
can't say that it works everywhere. You made a fallacy. You can't say it works in
Mars. Yes, you can.
I'm trying to tell you why, but you're not listening. I'm trying to tell you why, but you don't listen. The fact of the matter is, you haven't you haven't got the same gravity, the same atmosphere, and you haven't done these experiments in that parameters. This is something you're assuming, and at the end of the day, that's what it is, an assumption.
Well, then
it's not an assumption.
Then you're in a place of where there's no logic, Rummy. You can't.
No, your logic is you can assume things you can't substantiate. That isn't logic.
You can't say anything about the natural world is true.
No, you can't presuppose things are reality definitively just because you say them.
No, well, we're not doing.
That is what they do. That's theoretical deduction based simply on observation.
We're assuming a property of reality. Is that
assuming? Yes.
Let me make it clear for you. Hold on. Let me make it. Brummy, shut up. Let me make it clear for you, Witsit. This is an axiom. It's what we have at the start of our reasoning. It is an assumption. Yes. It is an assumption. It can't be anything but an assumption. There's no way for it not to be an assumption.
Exactly.
Okay?
That's why you have to make sure that it's going through the medium that you're talking about. If you're assuming it's a vacuum.
Lemon, I'm speaking. Why are you speaking?
I'm responding to your pause.
There was no pause. You just blasted all over me. If you don't assume this, if you don't use this at the beginning of your reasoning, and there are various assumptions we make. For instance, most of us assume that there is an objective reality for us to find things about, okay? That we are experiencing subjectively. Most of us assume that within that objective reality, there are other intelligent entities that we can communicate with. But we have no way of making this anything but an assumption.
Yeah, we agree.
And so we use the uniformity of nature because of the the logical impossibility of the contrary. What it leaves us in a position where we cannot know anything or make any statements about anything because they could change at any moment.
No, you say we can't think anything outside of your framework of theory of relativity and emptiness and a vacuum in space.
No,
actually,
if you reject
nothing to do with that whatsoever. Absolutely nothing.
every day.
Those are things that we can. They're not assumptions. They're things that are the result of evidence, of observed evidence. That's something different, and that's why I object. And I wanted to get this in earlier to your use of the word presupposition, because I think a presupposition is one of these things which is axiomatic. It isn't just how you use it. Well, I don't know how you use it, to be honest, because you throw
by definition, we use it by the definition and assumption. Yes, no, if you boil a kettle every day and it comes up, your boils at the right degrees you do it is. Yes, it's logical to assume it would work, but to then assert that it will work on Mars, where the gravitational pull, the atmosphere are probably particles that you don't even understand.
Gravity is identical on Mars.
Don't talk over me, fuck's sake. Listen, in the day, it's just not. So you cannot make that assumption, and it is.
Right. You're misunderstanding it, though, Brummy. You're
making your own example against you.
Let me explain to you how you're misunderstanding it. We're not saying that everything's the same everywhere. That gravity on Mars is the same as gravity on Earth. We're not saying that. Hang on. The force of gravity on Mars.
Yes,
is the same.
yes. The force.
We're not saying that, but we are. But we are saying that gravity operates to the same set, that there is gravity and it operates to the same set of rules as it does on.
That's an assumption. That's an assumption again.
It's not an assumption. It's like
yes, it is.
It's axiomatic. It's axiomatic to have
axiomatic based on the base assumption.
Well, all
axioms are
no. That's a fact.
But the only alternative, you do understand the alternative, is that you cannot make any statement about anything in reality and any truth statement.
Well, technically, you could replace it with an alternative, and you could go make up some more theoretical bullshit, I guess, if you wanted to.
Well, no, but what you'd have to say is, well, I think the Earth's flat at the moment, but tomorrow it could be another shape. Or in 5 minutes, it could change to another shape. So I'll just go with flat for now. But obviously, these things are up for grabs. Everything's... The sun rose at 6 o'clock tomorrow, but it might just decide not to rise tomorrow.
The uniformitarianism of nature is accepted, Jem. But the thing is, you have to ensure that it's a vacuum first. You haven't done that, Jem. You haven't ensured that it's a vacuum.
I'm going to keep going, Lemon, because I haven't finished.
Yeah, but you're just chewing on the point. Why don't you just drop the point so somebody else can make another point? You have to make sure that it's a vacuum first. I can assume uniformitarianism, Jem.
Because they don't seem to understand the consequences of what they're arguing.
The nothingness that you proclaim is mean shit. That's what
if you're saying that you don't do
the conversation very well.
If you're saying that you don't do this and you're not going to assume the uniformity of nature, then you cannot make any statements about nature because
that's a straw man. Though that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is we don't believe your base presupposition.
It's a logical.
Trying to agree. He's definitely trying to agree.
Do you assume the uniformity of nature with it or not?
Well, I mean, nature is definitely harmonic.
Do you assume that nature, the laws of physics, chemistry, whatever, that they operate the same everywhere?
There's no way I could possibly know that without knowing.
I know. So do you assume it?
On the local scale?
On any scale?
No, on the local scale, I do. That's my answer.
For as much universe as you know of.
But this is where y'all gotta agree. Y'all are both right. Like Jem, he'll agree. Like he doesn't know anything. He'll agree. He doesn't know anything.
Do you assume that reality operates the same way everywhere?
So, Witsit, do you think that...
No, not even within the confinements or parameters of your paradigm, because gravity, for example, doesn't work on a quantum or cosmological scale within your little.
You're just not.
Okay, we'll replace it. Worldview.
It's obviously above you to understand this.
I'll give you this and say yes.
Well, you're not even going to respond to what I said.
I can sum it up.
Well, I have responded to what you've said. You've completely missed the point. Again, this is not about everything being the same as it is on Earth. That's not the point. The point is that we understand that reality operates in a certain way.
Okay, actually, my point was that even within your own,
suddenly going to turn into a banana.
But we can
within your own stance, though, that isn't true. Gravity doesn't work.
No, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
Gravity works everywhere in the universe.
But nature will difference. No, we agree, but here's the difference. You're going to say, okay, gravity works this way here on Earth, but because the mass of a planet is something else, X, it must work like this based on these numbers.
You don't even understand you don't even understand gravity at all, do you?
You don't even understand.
Explain. You just showed that you have no idea. You have no idea how gravity works at all.
So gravity. So I'm agreeing that it's not the same because the force would be the same and act on different bodies differently. I'm saying something wrong, Brenda? Is that not what you agree with?
So you don't understand gravity at all because you think it somehow works differently on Mars than
this is what I said. I said gravity doesn't work on the quantum or the cosmological scale.
You don't understand quantum. You don't.
I know that theory of relativity is nowhere to be found, Brenda, and I know that's the same on the cosmological scale. Yeah, you are you're diverting, falsely claiming my ignorance as a way to not actually address with substance specificity like an adult.
Yeah. So the point is.
Yeah. What? Yeah. What, Brenda? Answer to what I'm saying.
This has nothing to do with the
gravity.
Oh, okay.
Gravity works the same everywhere in the universe.
Except it doesn't work on the quantum scale or on the cosmological scale. You don't.
I do agree with on that one.
Thank you, man.
We don't know what happens at the quantum level as far as with regards to. We don't have a theory. We don't have a quantum theory for gravity. I thought I was talking. We don't have a quantum theory for gravity.
Yeah. What do you have?
So we basically just don't know.
It doesn't work on that scale.
We do know that gravity works at the atomic scale.
The cosmological scale is gravity also in the running because we don't know right now. We are assigning dark matter, and dark matter might be real.
So well, dark matter is just a conceptual abstraction to explain discrepancy on the cosmological scale.
No,
yes,
that's false.
It's a scientific theory, okay?
Well, it's actually kind of undefined.
Granted, it's on the edge of physics. It's on the edge of physics.
Well, it's not a scientific theory. It's undefined. It's a term.
Okay, it's a theory. It's a scientific, it's an existing one. Until it's displaced or disproven.
There's nothing to displace or there's nothing to replace or disprove, dude. It's nothing yet.
Well, it's based on.
You don't understand what a scientific theory is, then.
Okay, what's the theory? What's the theory then? There isn't a theory. It's a conceptual abstraction to explain a discrepancy that's unknown.
You actually asked what the definition of a scientific theory is, and you profess.
No, I'm talking about dark matter. Is that what you brought up, or dark energy?
Which one? You threw all those out there.
You brought one of those up right now, though. I mean, whichever one doesn't matter. Same thing I'm saying applies to both.
I disagree with you that, unlike what Brenda said, the gravitational, like Newton's gravity as we use it, does not apply everywhere.
No,
it doesn't apply to the quantum scale. Doesn't apply to the cosmos.
Neither is the theory of relativity.
We don't have a.
That's what I said.
A theory of quantum gravity. We don't have a theory of quantum gravity.
No, it just doesn't work, or it's nowhere present. Doesn't operate on the quantum scale or the cosmological scale. That's what dark matter and dark energy is. It's an explanation as to why, something else is here. Occupying this space.
Thank you, Witsit.
Because it doesn't work here.
Explanation, which is the basis of what a theory is.
The theory is something's here. That's the theory. Something we don't understand at all. Dark, meaning we don't know, and matter, assuming it's material. That's what it is.
It's non-baryonic matter of some kind that we don't know about.
Right. We don't know.
We're actually agreeing on this, but you seem to want to fight on this.
No, my whole overarching premise is just that, the theory of relativity does not work on all scales. The only local scale that it was crafted around. In fact, it doesn't work on the other scales.
No, the theory of relativity works at the large scale.
It doesn't work at the cosmological scale, my friends. What are you talking about?
When you're talking about large bodies of gravitational mass, and we're talking speeds that are approaching light. That's where we use this.
Yeah. It doesn't work on the cosmological scale. Is this foreign to you? Okay, well, it's been known since the 50s, Brenda, so please enlighten me how it's not true.
That's not true.
Yeah, good. Why don't you sign up with Scientific American? I guarantee you.
Scale are still being investigated, and there are some theories which attempt to explain that. But you keep taking things that are 1,000 years of established science, and you throw in dark matter and dark energy, which admittedly is on the edge of scientific.
Gravity isn't 1,000 years of settled science. It's changed in the last century.
Question:
Are you aware that actual experiments? Einstein snapped the wand of Newton nonsense that Riley is?
Are you afraid that Newton? Are you aware Newton even postulated an explanation?
Are you aware that there's actual experiments that have measured what appears to be dark energy?
What's dark energy?
Matter?
That's an undefined conceptual abstraction derivative of dark matter, which is a conceptual abstraction in and of itself.
What's that? You can take Newton. You can take.
Are you sitting here bragging about concepts
and reduce them down to Newton's equations?
Ideas upon top of ideas, and I love the ideas.
It's not an idea. I've done the math. I know how to do that. Okay.
Okay, but what is math? Also an abstract description?
We're throwing a ball across the room.
Wow, dude, can you show me that it's bendy space time? That is actually has anything to do with the ball going across the room?
The why
is bullshit.
It doesn't come into play when we see what is happening.
Oh yeah, even with that, it doesn't work. That's my point. It's conceptually bullshit, and it doesn't even work mathematically. It doesn't even work mathematically.
Newton's equation.
It doesn't even work mathematically on the cosmological scale. Did you not know this?
You like to go to
Oh, Brenda, are you saying it does work?
You can argue.
Wait, I want to understand. Brenda, are you saying it does work?
What works?
The math. Does the math work for the theory of relativity on the cosmological scale? Yes or no?
Yes, it does.
Okay, really? So there's no discrepancy.
But there are discrepancies.
Hold on. Why do you crack open the Scientific American? The Scientific American, which is an established publication, right? And they're always publishing titles that say there's a problem with the cosmological, whatever. Right? They're always saying that. There's an issue with cosmology. We're off by this factor or that. So what is Brenda talking about?
It's a lot. It's a big number, actually.
So what is Brenda talking about? Please elucidate.
That fits. There are things that are open questions that are unknowns. Granted. Great. You want to do a victory lap for that? Go ahead. Take your lap.
Well, whatever. Let's just be honest, though. Brenda's sitting here lying, saying that the math works on the cosmological.
So let's not be throwing a lying thing out, okay?
Well, I just want clarity
because she said something in a certain context. And
okay, maybe she misspoke. Okay, maybe she misspoke.
No, what I mean is,
I've said a lie to Liv, but I've never said you were a liar.
Fair enough. I just said lying. I didn't call her a liar. But fair enough.
There's a fine line between the two, and you know.
Okay, well, yeah, but that isn't true, right? So the math doesn't work on the cosmological scale. It's off by a very, very big number, in fact.
Some of the math.
Are you aware that it does work?
I understand you guys' argument, right? I understand your perspective. I understand y'all's perspective, where it's like, dude, science doesn't know everything. We're trying to figure things out, dude. I mean, why are you telling us that? Like, I understand that, but my point is, you have to understand why we're at a standstill where we don't understand it. It's because clutching onto the theory of relativity, it falls apart, and so there's something that we're not understanding. That's why. That's the source of the discrepancy.
To relativity, it is the existing theory, and it works in a lot of the cases. But there's plenty of cases where it doesn't. We're not clutching onto it for dear life. We're trying to rationalize observations that we have with the theory that we have. That's why concepts like dark matter and dark energy are there, to try to get a better understanding and fill in that knowledge gap that we have. You make it sound like a penalty against science, whereas not. That's the whole beauty of the scientific method.
No, the sad part.
Acknowledge that there are gaps in understanding. I don't understand why you're holding that as
because the sad part is it's went around and touted as if it's been proven. In fact, people in this room run around screaming that it's been proven the theory of relativity. That's a pretty pathetic thing, right? Like, that just isn't true. I mean, if we could just be honest, we can agree to disagree.
I don't know what all. I'm just telling you, there are elements of relativity that have been shown to be correct, and there are gaps in the knowledge.
The theory of relativity is a mathematical construct. Okay.
It's not a mathematical.
Yes, it is, and it has a conceptual backing.
You love that term, don't you?
Your GPS wouldn't work if it wasn't relative.
Okay,
it's a theory.
That's not true. That isn't true.
Yes, it is.
So why do y'all say things like that? Why do y'all say things like that?
Hold on.
Because it is a theory.
GPS.
The clocks have to be adjusted on the satellites, otherwise you're going to get mistimed.
Okay.
And you're just
that means space-time bends.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it literally doesn't.
No, it literally does. It literally does.
No, it doesn't.
You're just telling me that you measure space-time because it's bending, and you think I need an argument to back up your unfounded, falsifiable claim.
We can prove that you can stretch time. So yes, it does.
Oh, please tell me where you proved you stretched time, Brenda. I can't do this right now. I can't do this right now, Brenda. You live in a fairy tale existence.
It's called time dilation.
It's called time dilation.
Yes, it is. It's real. It's real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brenda, I know atoms are clocks. And you know space-time bends because you stretch time.
It is. It's a technical specification,
dude.
Okay, if y'all still think that, y'all are suffering from cognitive dissonance. Y'all don't want to know the truth.
Okay, can you let rocket scientists
with the airplane?
Let rocket scientists.
No, Moya has experience with this. I want he can go on with this. Go on.
Like I'm too much.
I think the rocket dropped out.
For rocket science, you don't really talk much, do you?
All right, yeah, I gotta go, man. So I've been in here for a long time, man. Y'all stay fly, whatever, float your boat. Think you're.
Come back with some actual arguments next time.
All right, cool, good one, man.
Yeah,
good one.
Good job. You're welcome anytime, of course.
Maybe stretch some more of that time. You know what I mean? Make some more time for us all.
Yeah. So yes, you can do that.
I've only been here because Whitsitt was here, and seeing as that I was treated like shit from the beginning. I don't see.
Oh come on, we've let you talk. In what way have you been treated like shit?
Actually, you have treated me better than you ever have.
Yeah,
that's because I haven't spoken that long tonight.
Well, Whitsitt's got a lot to say for himself as well. Everyone wants a piece of him. You know how it is. So I don't think you've been treated like shit at all. You've just been in here. You've listened to the conversation like everyone else. And
every time I've spoken, there goes Curved.
Yeah. You know what? And I asked you to stop, didn't I?
It was fair enough.
I asked you to stop, and I let right. So,
all right, peace out, guys. I just want to say real fast before I leave.
That wouldn't happen 24/7 or in Oakley's server.
I just want to say,
that's not true at all. That's not true at all.
Just say before I leave, chill.
When has anyone ever reprimanded Nathan Oakley? When have you ever reprimanded Nathan Oakley for treating people like shit? For treating people like shit.
Well,
when have you ever said anything to him about his behavior?
Hey, I said, listen, I don't care about how Curve treats people either. It's just how he treats me.
Oh, you're whining about
it. People.
You were because he's Academy Award-winning exit now.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to know. Yeah, just chill out on the space porn. It deteriorates your brain. Peace.
Come back with some actual material.
Did anybody take on the GPS proving space-time?
Mike, I was actually trying to pass the task with you, but you cut out for a little bit.
Right then, bro, mate. It's time to you garbage twat.
No, I appreciate the chat today. I think even though everyone wants to get in there, it's great. I also think Whitsitt's definitely got a lot more to say about more bigger ideas, whereas I'm more of a basic level. And I do think I think you did do a pretty good job. At least it was a good talk, man. I don't think everyone. I think what's his name was a bit screwed. The one who has he left the room already? Yeah, he mentioned something about the Venus. How do you work out the distance to Venus? So he did spark a very good conversation. But it is like that in here. Like as soon as people start hearing, as soon as people start hearing a global talk, it's just it's impossible. And I think sometimes people don't follow the conversation properly, straw man, and then by the time they've explained what they're explaining, it gets to another point, and then nobody carries the point that should be missing in the background. And it's constantly everyone trying to chase up their conversation.
I'm confused. Does gas pressure need a container?
Oh, see, oh boy. Oh, dude.
It's a violation of the second thought law of aerodynamics.
You don't know the second law of thermodynamics.
I know everything.
How's it a violation?
It's a violation, man, of the second law of thermodynamics.
It's a violation happened from his life on a Saturday.
How is it a violation?
Entropy.
It's actually verifiably.
You don't know anything about. You don't know anything about.
I got the idea.
It is verifiable. You can actually verify gas in the gas pressure in a vacuum without a container.
How I understand it, right, is that if you have gravity, then yeah, it's not a violation. But at the end of the day, that gas needs to be contained, and your container. Hold on. Your container is gravity. So I rather
need to have a physical container to contain it.
So I would like to hear it. I'd like to hear it.
It's not a violation if you have gravity.
How is it a violation? How is it a violation?
All right, let him get it out. Let him get it out. Go ahead, Brummy.
Just impossible to get out. So basically, it's only a violation if you haven't got gravity. So gravity is going to be containing the gas. And the way I understand it is if you've got no gravity, I'd rather subscribe a dome to that container rather than gravity, because I don't think gravity is going to be containing the gas as well. And I think the Earth is flat.
What's your argument?
How is it a violation if there's no gravity? I mean, I'm trying to understand the violation. What
needs to be contained. That gas needs to be contained.
You got to learn to take turns. Okay, I think forwards and you start. Blah, blah, blah. And you're singing and all this.
They're incapable of taking turns.
Explain the violation. What is the violation?
Well, it needs a container, doesn't it?
The assumption.
That's not the answer I was looking for.
The assumption that we live on a ball with gas pressure in the void of space.
Okay, so how is that a violation?
Law has nothing to do with gas pressure.
Exactly. How is it a violation? That's my question. It should be easy to answer.
It's easy to answer. With it being contained, the gas would just escape, wouldn't it?
But that's not the second law. The second law doesn't specifically talk about gases under pressure expanding at all. That's
okay. What is it talking about?
I'll give you a hint.
I don't quite understand it fully. Calm down. Don't understand it quite fully, but you're more than welcome to educate on it.
Wait a minute. So you're going to tell me that it has nothing to do with gas pressure when the particles are being input energy in which they should, closer to the thermosphere and beyond, just fucking leave. But you're telling me it has nothing to do with the second law. That's funny.
The second law talks about the direction of heat travel. It only can go one direction.
That's correct. That's correct.
Now, it doesn't say it has to move. It just says it has to go in direction if it does move.
Well, I'd expect the air to go into the available space, which is
You'd expect, but is that a law? My expectation is a law.
My expectation.
It sounds like probability to me.
Connect what you think is the second law with what Zanuck actually said.
I don't know the second law of thermodynamics.
So why do you keep on claiming it then?
Where the hell do you get comments
why are you going crazy for? I thought you already knew that I didn't know it.
It's astonishing that you
do. That's why I asked you.
But it should not be surprising.
Why are you actually surprised that something you already said you knew?
No, you don't know it. That's why I'm asking.
I don't need to know it. Like the air should rush out into space.
It has nothing to do with the second law.
That's my way of getting your. Hold on. It's my way of talking about this particular point that you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it.
No, Brummy, you're not.
Well, all right, fair enough.
It's morally more about Newtonian laws.
It's all right. It's a rite of passage. They told me the same thing a year and a half ago. It's all right.
All right,
Elijah. A year and a half later, how is gas pressure next to a container a violation of the second law?
I'm not going to repeat
all I know is right. We're on a planet.
I told you very clearly. Hold on. I told you very clearly. So can you repeat back what I said and tell me how it's wrong?
I didn't hear what you had to say. That's why.
Sit down.
In multiple directions, how do they not expand? That's what he said.
That's not what I said, but it's okay.
Air goes into the available space, and it always does.
But how is that in violation of the second law when it doesn't?
I already told you.
I said specifically.
Hold on. I use that language.
Fuck it, forget it.
That particular
No, Elijah, I want to hear what you have. You have Ruby talking over you. You have Ruby talking well over you. Elijah, try and be respectful.
Elijah, you go for it. Sorry to interrupt. I've spoken.
Just let Elijah talk.
Shut up, Broomy.
Elijah.
Shut up, Mayok.
The rocket scientist. He was talking about high energy molecules and atoms moving in high velocities. How would they not expand into the available space? How is that not the second law? That's what he said.
There are elements of that I see how it connects, but overall, it doesn't. They don't jive with each other.
Right.
If there is a container, as is asserted by many, why doesn't the gas expand to fill, as in like evenly, the available space?
That's a good one.
Yeah, they always say that if you do have a container, that it would have equal pressure everywhere. That's one of the, and they're saying that if you had a container and some sort of form of gravity, hold on. Oh, give me again.
No, I'm doing this for a reason. You're detouring, okay? What I want you to do is actually respond.
She's so tiring.
Brummy, there's a constant. Brummy, the constant. Brummy.
Don, what are you doing, Don?
If you
Why did you do that, Don?
If you me again, then I will not answer.
Answer the question, please, bro.
I'll answer it how I feel fit and how I feel I understand it. If I've got it wrong, you can tell me after I finish speaking, not during.
Don't do it by avoiding it. If you're going to talk, answer it.
I'm going to answer it, but if you stop me whilst I'm answering it, then I will refuse to continue answering your questions. The bottom line is that if you're saying you've got a container, it should have equal pressure everywhere. The way I understand it, that you can have a gradient without gravity.
That's true.
From
or force or acceleration.
And this is away from my question a little bit too, because remember, you guys say that you try to evoke ideal gas law and all this for the atmosphere and say that the gas should expand to fill the available space. And then when you ask about the gradient, then you shit your pants and start coming up with the derp that you're getting ready to.
Well, I even heard that you could have gravity with the container, which could also explain the gradient. But then they also say when you have the gravity, there's no need for the container. So I understand there's different sorts of changes between situations. But
God damn it, rambling man, we're talking about the need for a container being proven by the fact that we have gas pressure.
Oh, that question.
He didn't fucking ramble.
I didn't think I rambled either, but now that's a different question. Well, I think that's a different question you're asking me now. Like, it's like.
Is the question you don't
go? That's it. That's me done. I'm done. I'm sick of him interrupting me. Like, it's just I'm a trainer.
Please, can you just let him get it out without saying anything, please?
Who?
Yeah.
Curved, you did interrupt him several times.
Why?
Because you think he isn't answering the question properly, but you are still interrupting him. It's much better to just let him say it and then say you didn't, point out. Do you know what I mean? Rather than try and stop him midway.
Do I have to play that fucking game? Go ahead.
I totally heard what you said, Curve, because you asked me one question. Then the second question you asked me was, you want me to explain why gas pressure. Oh, he's gone. There we go.
Yeah, you weren't trying to hide it. You weren't trying to sneak it in there. You gave it to him, and you were presenting all the options. Like, I don't know why he acted like he didn't hear it, Brummy.
I don't know either, but it's like as soon as you start to answer what they say, it's like, oh, you don't understand. It's like I ain't even finished. You can't even. How can you assume I don't understand before I've even finished? Well, you know what? It's like sometimes I go probably the wrong way to begin the conversation, so probably they ain't got the initial response they're expecting. But I didn't know he didn't say that at the start. I'm sure he asked me 3 different questions because the third one was, oh, how do you get the the antecedent? How do you prove gas pressure? Because we've got gas pressure, therefore container. That was the question.